to the Métropole Grid. Hopefully you're doing well. It is the 31st of October, 2023, year of our Lord. Rip Baba Yaga is actually totally correct. What are we doing? It's Halloween. What are we doing? How's everyone doing? Hopefully you're well. Holy Bizzato, who can it, Andre? Yo, Jai, how's it going? Spooky. Yeah, we have like... I had some intentions of dressing up as like a cyberpunk thing, and then I realized, you know, much to my chagrin, that my one like cyberpunky kind of vest or like jacket we had got rid of. So now it's just the same mask that comes out once a year on the dot. It's actually rare that I don't think we've ever streamed on Halloween proper. Now normally the stream's at night, so like the lightning effects are a bit more pronounced, but we'll get through that, that's for sure. Yo, Bushi, how's it going? Happy Halloween. How you doing? Yay, Tuesday time. Happy Halloween, y'all. Yo, Alec, happy Halloween as well. Yeah, Rip Baba Yaga. Yeah, that's a big question that we need to answer like at the top of the stream is what is the scariest thing in Netrunner we can do? I think it might be Built to Last Glacier, but for different reasons. But like, what is, you know, narratively the most spooky thing we can be building on this day? Also, please let me know how the audio is because I have like this pronounced beak. And so like the way that I have to interface with the microphone is unusual. Hey, Kira, the hold music is kind of banger. Anyone knows what it is? So you're probably talking about the first song. The first song is actually quite good. Is called I Could Threaten with a Good Time by Icarus. And that's specifically the instrumental version. And it is, I think, one of my favorite songs on the whole playlist. It is very, very good. But that is it. It's I Could Threaten with a Good Time by Icarus. Instrumental version. How you doing? Congrats on the Decklist of the week, huh? Yo, Recursion. Tonight's Pub Runner. Can't watch live. Hope you're well. Hope you're doing well, too. Hey, enjoy some Halloween Pub Runner. Phil, how's it going as well? Yeah, yo, Zombie, how's it going? Halloween then, eh? Yeah, technically. It's where he lines up. Once a year, on the dot. Fixby, how you doing? Good memories of the old Ned Flanders costume. I largely, like, still wear it on accident. Like, I have the glasses, classically. I have sometimes the mustache. Like, it just sometimes happens where I put on a green sweater and I realize I'm a Ned Flanders. Floating tags and hiring mercs? Yeah, Joe, how's it going? It's like not the worst card. So like, okay, this thing is one of the few ways in the format to deny meat damage, which is somewhat relevant. There's like two big decks in the top 16 worlds that cared about meat damage. There was the Lady Killer, which is a bit of a niche deck. And then of course there was the Punitive RH. And people have been like going off on Punitive RH. I think people really, really like the deck. It's really fun. I think people like alternate win conditions. Is this the card that you want to swap into your Hoshiko deck to be able to beat it? I'd argue no. I think there's better ways to do it, but like keep in mind that this card is actually kind of fascinating, and it's pretty strong against. Well, there's downsides to it. Borehole. I feel like we're even come down even more. Like people were on, you know, peak at one point. What's it called? Pinhole threading, and then they were on mid pinhole threading, and then Keeling came out again, and then more pinhole threading. I feel like a lot of decks are only on one super deep. Ghost tongue. Thanos, that's actually a pretty good one. I like that. Mike is quieter than normal. I think I'm just quieter than normal because I think I don't realize how far I'm because okay, I'm not gonna take the mask off, but normally I'm like closer to the microphone, but now I'm a bit further away. So it's just Andre's regular close now. Yeah, it kind of is. The winning deck won by dealing 6 meat damage. Also the NEH Grossness. I think we're going to play the NEH Grossness because we didn't play Table Carnage at all. Any of the NEH stuff. That's sort of like Rongi Dodge-esque. This is a hell of a pair of cards to open up to Augustus. Happy Halloween. Also Seymour, Audrey V2. So Audrey V2 is a really big one right now, and people are playing it because Mulch is kind of popping off. I think people are massively on the Mulch train. Mulch. Yan, it came in second at AMT. There's a really big AMT this weekend. It was on Sunday, and it was like 40 players. That's really, really quite big. And this deck is really fun. We played it on stream last week on Thursday, where we did like a tour of playing all the as many of the world's top decks as we could, and we ended up at like 11:30, 11:15. We started playing this deck, and the Mulch deck to me is so fascinating because it's so interesting. It's flexible. It's really fun. You have a lot of that like fluidity about your board state and filling up your bin and trashing your own programs over and over again, and that's really, really fun. That being said, there's a couple things. Firstly, this deck reminds me so much of one of my again, I wouldn't say exactly favorite decks because I never played a lot of it because it was, I think, really, really hard to play. But it's basically like a modern reincarnation of Hive Mind Max, right? So it's like very, very close to this sort of list, which is inherently, you know, 3 simul-chip, the same idea, 2 knob 3. It's a toolbox deck where you look at this like breaker suite and the program suite, and it looks more like a shaper where you have all these one-ofs that you're pulling for the right condition. And I think the one thing looking back on this, and I played a bit of mulch this weekend, we even did some like some lessons where degree mill lessons to talk about like how do you play mulch. This deck, I think, excuse me, I hit the microphone, is 1 card bigger than it used to be. I think there was an addition of a second imp to deal with acid spam. I think Yan calls it out. There's also some changes here about playing Hannah instead of, what's it called? The Light the Fire. I think the 1 card that I really want to put in this list, and maybe it's not necessary, is Chisel. This was such a fun one of in Hivemind Max, and I feel like there's a lot of matchups where having access to one of Chisel or like a one of even a Hush. I think Chisel's probably a bit better. It seems really potent. Like I kind of like it. There's another card in the toolbox, and what are the targets is like mostly border control. I think that's maybe good enough. Loud is a really cool deck with many jump scares for the runner, but proactive. Wait, I know that there was the Loud deck in here. It was like the bracket Loud. Abasu is pretty Halloweeny. Ghost Meat list had it? For real. The numbers on Abasu are pretty bad. The card itself is like, it kind of does what, what's it called does. Like what Audrey does, right? It allows you to trash your cards for value. And like now we have Audrey, so Abasu seems even worse, as much as I thought at some point we'd play it. I vote Snare H. One for the testing team. It's the RH deck that Baremu won the last AMT with that just has some stairs in it, which I think is a really good inclusion. I do think like saying that mulch is super popular and mulch generally doesn't have a lot of cards in hand is an understatement. Where was the Loud deck? I saw it at some point. Let me see if I can find it from here. I actually came first as well. Baremu was playing a similar deck. Yeah. Oh, exactly. Sorry. Yes, I know that the RH deck was. I don't know what was Baremu playing as a runner. Cards used. No, deck list, Loud. Sorry, I keep hitting the microphone. That's a problem. Loud was on page 1. Very good. My mulch has Ice Carver. If you're doing Chisel, is probably also an include. I don't know if you really need the Ice Carver. Like, to me, the lead... Okay, so I haven't played enough mulch, and I think mulch requires a lot of reps to feel really confident about anything you're going to say about it. But from my testing, I found the leech to be really good. The leech is really, really good. It's good value. You want to be doing that stuff anyways. I'm not sure if I will love Ice Carver, because I don't think it really interacts that well with most of your breaker suite in a way that leech does or doesn't, let alone you botchless through the big stuff anyways. But having a Chisel to open up a server seems really nice. Obviously, Chisel and Ice Carver, I believe, work. I think Ice Carver is just flat, right? Not on encounter. It's just flat. No, when you're encountering a piece of ice. That works, right? I don't know. I think Ice Carver makes more sense if you're relying on your fixed breaker suite, but like every mulch deck I've played, you honestly don't use the breakers that much. My only complaint about the AMT is that Keith got bubbled out of the cut by Yan, excuse me. Well, 40 players though, that's pretty wild. This is Loud. Another QTM list, if I'm not mistaken. And it is Acid, Spam, Jinteki, Calvin Bailey. This card is probably better than it looks. Click to draw 2, and then it just draws 2 like by necessity, no matter what happens. I think that's pretty good for an acid list. And we're just kind of getting stuff out there. We have not a lot of kill threat. I don't think so. Unless we do like Fuji into Blend the Water somehow. Prana, I guess. I hate Prana. Not a fan of Prana. But I could see in this deck it's being pretty good. Yeah, this seems like the closest to like Acid PE that we haven't seen in a while. Louis Arsemont is definitely the most Halloween themed runner. Jerome, how's it going? I guess so. Is he even the most? To some extent. Buzz on Cleaver feel thematically appropriate as breakers for today's deck. Wait, Joe, what am I missing? All right, I don't know what we're going to do. I think we're going to have to play Ghost Tongue. There's not that many spooky cards in Netrunner anymore. I think somebody was playing Lou at the last AMT. If I'm not mistaken, somebody came in relatively well playing Lou. And the thing to me is like right now, so many of the trash forward decks that we're seeing, so like all the mulch decks, they are playing Hoshiko over Lou. And to me, that's a bit of a bummer. It's like the is better in Haley problem that we used to have like 4 or 5 years ago, is that even if you have an ID that's focused at destroying stuff and pushing yourself forward, which to some argument also Freedom can fall into that camp, is that Hoshiko just does it better because it's much more consistent. Net deck got third with Loop. Yeah, that with Lou. That list isn't anywhere though, right? Like, I don't know if it's on the stream because I didn't watch the stream this weekend. But yeah, I don't know what it is. Yo, Soapy, how's it going? Spooky stream. How's your CO? You went out last weekend, right? Mainly tries to score out, but with other plans. Oh, that's in terms of the Loud deck. Yeah, I could see this. The Agenda Suite is really, really strange. It's very interesting. That's a hard Agenda Suite to end up on. Fuji feels so weird to me, right? Like it's the sort of agenda that if you lose it really early, you kind of lose the whole game. Maybe it's not as, obvious. I think Moonpool like gives you a lot of flexibility to allow the runner to mess up, and I kind of value that as much as that's something that doesn't always work at top tables. But you can make some really interesting forks with Moonpool, and I think Moonpool also encourages you to have that many agendas. Wage Workers is probably really cool. Idea that you can score out and then do something on top of it. I wonder if like you can play Wage Workers and play 4-2s, but I don't think PE you want to be playing a fair bit of 4-2s in general. It's hard to see like what this deck wants to do. The write-up seems to be really good. Hybrid play. The ultimate result is multi-headed beast that can comfortably pivot between multiple play patterns over the course of a game. Early game will look very different each game depending on what is drawn. The deck can do a great Prana Prism impression, asset spam, Jam is scoring remote with Daniela with Byroid-driven efficiency. Yeah, I could believe it. I wonder how bad the matchup is with Hosh. With some mulching. Nightmare Archives is pretty spooky. Corp is scarier to play in this meta anyway. You think Corp is scary? I think Corp is like, okay, if you mean like Corp is like they're a scarier entity, I agree. I would rather play Corp in this meta than Runner. Junkie, how's it going? Eric, is the mask perhaps serving an ulterior motive, hiding something? Let's start the conspiracy theories. You'll not see it, but this weekend I fully shaved my face. It's unbelievable. I made a mistake, I would argue, but it has happened. And this mask, I think, only serves one purpose and one purpose only. It's Halloween. Lou Geist, the professor. I'm scared of school. Pat, how's it going? Yo, Eric, I watched a bit of the stream last night. I caught up until a couple games. Do we want to take a second to talk about something? Because I think there's a play pattern that I think we can challenge. That I think there's a lot that folks can learn from this. Because I've seen this. It's a sort of thing that I've mentioned to my local testing group too, where I think it's a mistake that gets made playing what's going to be a very popular deck right now. I got beat bad. Oh no, I grabbed some decks and didn't practice much. Lots of fun though. I'm feeling motivated to get better. Yeah, I saw the results. Like Holly, I think went undefeated. Just absolutely just smashed through everything. I think Holly played some Worlds decks. Not that everyone else didn't really, but it seemed like it was such a weird standing. It was like undefeated and everyone else like, kind of fighting for, it's like Mario Kart against my brother. Moonpool RFG, end of run, turn to trash a Fuji, then scoring a Regenesis is so cool. Yes, as long as you do it on the runner's turn. That's really, really cool. Who's streaming? This is the last or so deck I played against at Worlds. I played really well, even let them build up a Prana before pinholing it when they wanted to happen. Still lost, but is this Maddie's first time streaming with Andre doing sort of the Bergerac thing? Yes, please. Okay, check this out, Eric. So we've seen this deck a lot, and there's like a couple points built onto this. So this is the sort of like Restoring Humanity list that did well at Worlds. We saw Jinsei in the top. We saw Bridgman at the top. Originally, Sebastian K put out a list like this all the way back in APAC, and nobody played it for a while after. And I genuinely think this deck is very, very good. This version is slightly different. I think Ba did well to take people's understanding of how to play around this deck and then like jam some snares in there, which is a nice spot to be. But the original versions, which I will pull up, the Restoring version, had 2 subliminal messaging, and I take umbrage with the way that people play subliminal messaging because people are not doing themselves any favors the way that they're playing subliminal messaging. So check this out. Subliminal messaging is a card that a lot of people snap down click 1 because it's not a real click. It says gain a credit, but the first time each turn you play a copy of subliminal message, you gain a click back. So the first subliminal message is a clickless credit. Now, there's 2 problems here. Firstly, a lot of Netrunner players look at money as the best thing they can do. Obviously, the opportunity cost on subliminal messaging is super, super low. It literally costs you nothing besides a card. But that's another issue to keep in mind, is that there's a lot of Netrunner players that will draw a hedge fund, and on turn 3, when they should be jamming in a remote server, they go from like 18 to 22 credits. I'd argue that doesn't matter. You don't always want to be playing your economy cards. But basically, what that is going to introduce you to the fact is that whenever you see a card in hand and you autoplay the card, you should try and challenge those options. And unfortunately, subliminal messaging to a lot of players is like the most autoplayed card because it's a clickless credit. So what I would argue what you want to do with subliminal message, if you're going to play subliminal messaging, you're always going to play it on your 3rd click because it serves almost no purpose to play this on your 1st or 2nd click. Eric, I think you can watch specifically that in the matchup that you played, I think in the second game, you played this turn 1 as a subliminal messaging, and then it went into archives, and then you never got it back because your opponent always was running and making a successful run. So on that basis, if you don't play the subliminal messaging and just discard it by getting to 6 cards in hand, it'll be a face down card in archives, and it will actually give you more money through a longer part of the game because the runner doesn't want to run archives because they're going to potentially die. So on that basis alone, there are so many ways that you can look at subliminal messaging and not play it or play it late in the turn because it gives you a better turn. Making sure you're not playing your subliminal messaging click 1 is so important. The fact that you can throw out subliminal messaging when you draw a Hansei later into the turn, sometimes that's one of the best discards you want to do. Making sure that you can end your turn with 6 or 7 cards in hand so you can discard a card, let alone an agenda, so that you can have cards in archives to give you Restoring Humanity, let alone that subliminal can fire Restoring Humanity face down is just as good if you play it as if you don't play it. Having padding in your hand, there's like so many reasons. Having it in hand and later you first click, like say you click 1, play subliminal messaging, so you get the click back, and then click 2, you play a Spin Doctor and draw 2 cards, and you draw your digital life. Like clearly, that's a bit of an ordering problem. So I've seen this all the time. A lot of players do not play subliminal messaging click 1 ever. It's almost never correct unless you 100% know your whole turn, you're not drawing any cards, and you need to do like subliminal messaging into something. But like click 1 playing subliminal messaging is like the worst way that this card can be played, and it's like a super common way that this card gets played. So just keep that in mind. Just always trying to figure it out that if you are going to play subliminal messaging, you want to play it as the last possible thing you're going to do on your turn, because you can always have it as a way to help you manage your hand size, to discard with Hansei, to get a face down in archives. There's so many better ways to play subliminal messaging. So keep that up. Subliminal to Regenesis can really F you up if you're on autopilot. That's also a really bad one too. Yeah, watch out. If this enters archives, you can't Regenesis, but yeah, don't do that. Other uses, Anoetic Fodder, Celeb Gift Flashing. Yes, there's so many uses, and just so many people play this. That's a really good shout out, Thanos. Those cards are, Anoetic at least is in the list. That hand padding is also a lot of times more important than getting a click list credit. But again, watch that matchup, because I think on like the first game, if you didn't play a Subliminal, you would have been able to discard it, and then you would fire it RH like 3 or 4 times instead of getting 1 credit off Subliminal and never firing RH. Oh, I'm out of breath. Let me catch my chat. Hey, Eric Clarenberg, first time I catch you live. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for your awesome content. That's very kind. Happy Halloween. Sorry we can't make like reasonable eye contact. Well, we can only make eye contact, let's be honest. Hopefully you're doing well. The Netrunner player was inside the house the whole time. Holly tore it up. Very cool. Holly's a monster. Yeah, Holly, I know Holly has always been showing up at like top of rankings in those areas. Need to get that mask off ASAP, Jai, maybe if you tune into the end. But that's the final horrific reveal. Hey Dave, happy Halloween everyone. Gonna take the kids out trick-or-treating a bit, fun times. Yo, have fun with that. Seems really fun. I haven't gone trick-or-treating since I was obviously a child, but have kind memories of it. So I reckon some more kind memories might be made today. Thanks for the feedback, I really appreciate it. Definitely want to try and do that stream where you try and coach us real time. Yeah, that'd be really fun. That'd be really, really fun. Hey Vishal, where's Andre? No idea. Hey Yeti Hustle, how's it going? Hopefully you're well, eh? Hand padding can be useful, but can also signal agendas in HQ if it has been returned to hand. Yeah, if the runner accesses it, like clearly something is up, but like sometimes that's better than them accessing that on single accesses. So do keep that in mind. Like padding for this, there is a downside to it for sure, but just like so many players play this click 1 because, oh, free credit, let's go. But anytime in Netrunner you're doing something on autopilot, you should challenge it. And this card has so much power because it's a card you can discard that can come back when and if you need it on conditions. Finally got around to watching your timing structure video all the way through. Learned a lot. Thanks, Andre. Aiden, hey, glad you liked it. It's probably like, it shouldn't be that long, maybe. I don't know. I feel like it's unapproachable because it's too long. Finally, a face reveal stream. Way to keep attention up through delaying it to the end of the stream. I need to record. So I was on, we were sick this last week and me and my partner got sick. So like I'm behind, there's a couple more videos in the series for canned gnats. And so like I need to, it's basically all done, but I need to record that video at the end where I do like a Patreon thanks. And like I was not up to do it. I looked like absolute garbage. So we're going to record it tonight after this. But yeah, apologies. The XL straw is hilarious. It's like the only straw we have, and it's a small mug. It doesn't taste good through a straw either, but that's coffee. Let's not try this. We played this one before. I wanted to play, we'll try Loud, 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 which this is going to be a disaster. Like, no way around it. There's no way we're going to play this perfectly on game 1. There is too many lines. There are too many cards that work in weird and interesting ways. Like Moonpool on its own, like you need to play a couple games with this to figure out how it works. I think Biotic Labor is a one of. I was considering this, like playing Biotic Labor to score a sting out from your hand. It's like really cool. What was that like really messed up Jinteki agenda back in the day? You know that one of that had like a scientific name? Does anyone know what this is? I like how the mask is shaped to minimize muffling. Wait, what does that mean? Philotic? Thank you. So Philotic was his one of, and there were just decks back in the day that like kept a biotic in their deck just so they could score off the one of Philotic. Because Philotic was, I think, the first limit one per deck that was like factioned one per deck, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, it wasn't. It was that was the HB 3-1 with Haas on it. Anyways, it was one of the few one ofs per decks before NSG made one for every faction. And it says when you score this, do 1 damage for each agenda in the runner's score area. So you'd get the same sort of thing that like stock buyback kind of Thule decks like circa one rotation ago, and then you just biotic this out and the runner would die. So that's a problem. And for what it's worth, like I think there is some lines there, as tricky as they are, where you can get sort of close to that by like just fast advancing out a Sting. Where if you biotic out a Sting, there's a chance a Sting does 4 damage. That's not like potentially the 7 you can do with Philotic if you build your deck in a certain twisted way. But yeah, it's kind of cool. I kind of like that. The board plus Philotic, the Oscars deck or whatever. This thing is really restricting my nose. Eventually, I'm gonna have problems. Hey Ben, by the way, how's it going? Asukai, how are you doing? Rip 20/7 Philotic? Yeah. Those are fun decks. How many louds are nested for? I feel like we can do that. I don't have JNet open. Do you know what might be the scariest thing? The JNet front screen lobby. Ooh, avert your eyes. It's bad in there. The Oscars deck was a legendary write-up. It is really good. If anyone doesn't know about the Oscars deck, it is a deck about acting. Oh man, we probably should talk about it. But the short of the long is that you're meant to make this play that turns out is an entire look. You made to sell it like you've made a terrible mistake. The runner capitalizes on the terrible mistake, but you've actually set a trap, and it's really funny. I've never seen it work, but the problem was like everyone knew about it eventually because that's such a good write-up that like no close brackets issues. That eventually, yeah, it didn't work anymore. Moonpool gave my opponent a game loss at Worlds, so that's a scary card. They've got to reveal agendas before shuffling. This came up in one of the games at CanNats, and like I don't know what the ruling is on this, but if somebody uses not what's it called, Gachapon, and does not reveal the cards and shuffles them back into the deck, is that just a game loss? Is it a game loss? Because I don't think there's a way to fix it. But it doesn't seem as important as shuffling agendas back, but it kind of is. Hey, Chillstad, would you consider playing a Sable deck during the stream? Yeah, most definitely. I think we played one last Thursday, by the way, because there was a bunch at Worlds. We'll probably play another one, and it's mostly because I've bound a button here that says Trick or Treat. And so anytime we get an access on the central server, especially with Sable's ability, I want to say Trick or Treat. So we're going to have to play a runner that gets a lot of accesses. Got it to work exactly once. That sounds about right. Oh, this matchup can be a bit cursed, maybe. Hey. Izzy, how's it going? Happy Halloween. Are we playing Eternal or are we pouring one out for our friend Baba Yaga? We are unfortunately Baba Yaga-less for the first time in what it feels like years. Probably still a game loss. Yeah, that's probably true. Okay, against Essa. Checking archives is hard. Some Essas will play the matchup where Essa will just put down Marrow and just play 6 hand size and not play any more sabotage stuff. I think that's probably not amazing. Straw. We definitely want to ice up HQ. This hand is like mediocre. Prana Condenser has some really ridiculous numbers on it. It's 4 to trash, so I feel like we can just jam this out. In terms of like getting economy, we have 3 Hansei review, and if you want to consider Mindscaping economy, I guess we could. We could keep this. This is not amazing. Sabotaging Enabler Regenesis always feels so good, and not only Regenesis, but also sometimes you have... we don't have this one, but the 2-1 that also allows you recur stuff. It like you play like a mulch deck where your archives is your other hand. We'll keep it, whatever. Bye Yaga. Nightmare Archives is probably the most trick or treat card. Yeah, maybe. That's not a bad shout out. All right, so our early plan is figure out how the deck works, but before that, we're just going to try not to get Shastoosh good. Vampiro Nasa and Anansi are both pretty fine on HQ. I'd rather res a Vampiro Nasa in the early game because it is massively expensive. I think we're at the point where we can consider putting a Sting on the table and just like saying whatever happens to it, we're relatively okay with it. But here we probably just have to click for 2 credits. I don't know if the deck is going to be too like tempo fast, so we'll see. Oh, Prana is Econ. Yeah, Prana is Econ. We're going to have to like Anansi up the Prana. Try to play the Sable deep dive deck you played a while ago and find it tricky to know when to run. Oh, there's the early Marrow. They lost the Zenith chip. That's a really good hit for us. So we can get rid of another Vampirnasa, I reckon. We actually don't mind Sabotage that bad, because like if you run Archives and steal too many small agendas, let alone a Fuji, you can just die. Chill. Yeah, it's a bit tricky. You definitely want to make the runs work for you, and those decks are kind of loaded with like good things that pay off to make the run good. But like if you're ever spending a lot of money to get a single access, even if you get the click back, like it's usually not worth it. It kind of is a bit about understanding, you know, the matchups. Okay. Who are you? What have you done with Andre? Janktivist, how's it going? I feel like we haven't talked about Arkham in a long time. And like, this is a day that we can actually talk about Arkham. We're legally allowed to talk about Arkham today. I think we're going to open with the Spin Doctor, but I don't mind the Spin Doctor. It protects Archives a bit. I definitely want to get down the Prana and then something in front of it. I think we'll do this. There's a chance that this fork works for us, because if they run through this, we'll get Prana credits, and then we can maybe res Vampirnasa and this. Ghost Town comes down. YOLO. Mindscaping and Anemone. Do you think there'll be some better breakers for criminals in the next set? I think we're going to see more ways for like Mercury to bypass ice. So yes and no. Not exactly like breakers, but there will definitely be. I'd be really surprised if there weren't more ways for Mercury to interact with ice favorably. But criminal breakers are like, okay. I think criminal right now needs like a replacement for Bugalter that isn't totally butt. All right, so our turn here is if we put the Spin Doctor down, we draw 2. We can Hansei whatever, and we can put a Sting on the table. The other option is if we start with the Spin Doctor, we might be able to do a triple install if we get down the Wage Workers. So we could Spin Doctor, install the Wage Workers, install the Sting. I think that's fine too. We don't have a lot of cards in hand, which means we're pretty soft to Sabotage in general. Did I hear Arkham? Yo, Nick, how's it going? Oh, Airblades. Sick. So there's an Archives run here. This is totally fine for us. Amaku is much. I think Amaku is actually really quite good right now. Yeah, this is the problem that we didn't ice this up. I think we're okay with letting them trash this for 2 credits. There's an argument that we could get any of these cards back. That just gives us more. I think we probably should just get these cards back, because there's a chance that we Sabotage Spin Doctors. Again, that's why I don't love having 1 card in hand. But this is not a really good Spin Doctor use. I'll be the first to say it. At least we're going to get a Sting off. Something like that. Oh, I'm really behind on chat. I say that having done the equivalent of being dragged into Dark Alley and forced to fight off this deck with no warning whatsoever. Can you watch Andre play a Prana deck again as the never installer use Prana and then wonder why the card's in the deck? Yeah, we'll get there. Like right now. Sting? Prevent? Look at us. Look at us go. Did we mess it up? Wait, what happened? I wanted to prevent both of them. Oh, it's separate instances and it doesn't tell you in the log. Yeah, that sucks because we got information about their hand, but we wanted to prevent both of them. Whatever. Yeah. I got... Let's just play it as it lies. Yeah, whatever. We can just play this out. Sorry, Aiden, I think Amaku is actually pretty good. We'll Sabotage. It's funny that Hansei doesn't do anything. Yeah, this should have 2 counters on it. So we just gotta keep that in mind. Parallel Zoe looks cool to me, but I'm not a good Arkham player. Parallel Zoe looks really fun. I got into Netrunner after playing a lot of Arkham. Super excited for the new campaign. I'm so excited for the new campaign. Let's talk Arkham. And yeah, I've been checked out on Netrunner a bit lately, so I haven't been around online as much. Got to get clear of the semester and be back on it. Oh, wow. We got away with a Rashida. No problem. Oh, I'm really behind on chat. Okay. Draw 3, game 3. Mandatory. Okay. So here we could probably put 2 cards on the table. Fix, he has 6 hand size, and there's a chance that he might stay on about 6 hand size for a while. I thought Airblades was only during a run. Yeah, it was. So I'm not sure why the log asked if they wanted to prevent with Airblades, unless I missed that. But here we can definitely do a triple install. I think we can maybe start with a Spin Doctor and assume that we're going to get ice, and then we can do a quad install this turn. Yeah, that seems fine. So we can get 2 things on the table. Longevity Serum. Love it. Let's go. Isn't Mavirus spam in every corp kind of killing the virus-based stuff? I think most decks besides Op are only on one Mavirus right now. And the thing is with Amakua is that you play it as like an early pressure and as a backup late game option, but you don't play decks that are just like 2 Amakuas. Unless you're like on 2 Amakuas, 2 Tunnel Vision, 3 Boomerang, which was like what Kawita was doing. But I don't think there's a lot of decks that are just like, my only breaker is Amakua anymore, because that doesn't seem tenable. Hey, Bink. Jam for GG? Wait, what do you mean? How's it going? When did Bless tokens appear? Innsmouth. They appeared in Innsmouth, and they'll be back in the new set. Hush on the Vampiranasa. Totally fine with this. That's sick. So they're going to figure out if they can Shistushka into this. But this run, I think we're okay with this. This might be a problem for them. They can prevent some of the damage with air blades. But whose prevention goes first? Ours? Whose prevention goes first? Building a parallel Zoe deck to play Arkham at US Nats. Apparently their prevention goes first. Prevent, yeah. How many cards? Yeah, we'll draw 2. Open HQ. Sick. So they didn't have to use the air blades because if they didn't, they assumed up we too. So now we have a button to do 3 damage. We have 14 credits. It acts as a longevity serum. Worst case. I don't know what this is. But now we need this to survive. This is a problem. This does not work with wage workers, but they have 6 cards in hand. I think they're going to be staying there. So this sting doesn't do enough. We want to score out the House of Knives. Would runner stuff happen first during the turn? Yeah, I think so. I think they're considered the active player there. So they are the active player, so they will go first. Hey, guy, good afternoon. Nice match. Shame on you for PE. I don't know what you're talking about. Now they really can't afford to run, so we'll do triple advance, score, prevent, choose up 1 card to get trashed. In theory, here we could turn on a longevity. I think we can get rid of the Rashida. And then the question is whether we ice up this better. If they end up hushing this, I think we could consider trashing the hush, but the Vampirnus is too good. So I think we're just going to protect the thing that like wins us the game. You're going to prevent one of the 2 Vampy damage with Prana, bit of a JNet bug. It seemed like it offered both of us, Cobalt, but that's good to know. Did you prevent both? You can't prevent both. Did it allow us to, or did it not? I'm not actually sure. It's hard to see in the mask. PE for Halloween. Hey, Dagon. A Kingdom for a pinhole? Yeah, I know, tell me about it. But like, some Esta decks play 1 pinhole. Light the Fire is like kind of interesting as much as like 4 credits is also still a lot. Like, I guess they have a fermenter. I'm excited by Parallel Gym, but fitting the Ghost Army into a normal gym deck on Arkham DB hurts my head so much I had to stop. Dave, just when you add the card, add to its like side deck. That's all I did. I built an alternate gym deck last night. I'm really stoked for it. But just click on the card, and then in the card builder, it'll be like how many copies you want to add to main deck, and then to side deck. Just put it on side deck. We've not hit a single agenda here. Oh, we should have PE'd. Shit. I forgot. Sorry. Jaina lets you probably prevent any amount of the cards, says 1 per instance of net damage. Oh, okay. So it is actually a bug. Because it says 2 net damage, you can only prevent 1. Okay. That's good to know. Yeah. They would probably use an Airblade counter. There I definitely should have House of Knives. It was their turn, so they could have Airbladed it. So yeah, it is going to be relevant. We have to get rid of all these counters. They also haven't played yet, what's it called? A single, they're looking for Banhar. Hey, Halaji, how's it going? Also, Pineapple, I'm going to my first tournament this week. Super excited. Yo, where are you going? That's sick. Okay. So we need to force the issue. So I think we're going to score this out. So now the last one is an absolute landmine. Sting, we'll put it here. Then we'll put the other one here. So now they will flatline. We get to sabotage a card. So with 6 credits and all of this fermenter, can they run the remote server? This is tricky. This is where if we had a biotic, we would have won, which is really funny. Like having the biotic in this hand is actually a winning line. I think we're okay trashing their Genesis. So what do we do here? If they have a pinhole threading, there's open servers. So I think the best thing would maybe put another ice on server 1. And just chill. Let's go stop by and play PEU. Ew. Banhar against Jinteki for what you want to replace all the do-1 net damage subs with do-1 net damage subs. Yeah, it's not great, but like clearly they want to do it if they have air blades. And can someone confirm to me, if you ban her through Saisentan, do you take the Saisentan clause? Because where are the Netrunners? Where are the net damage subroutines? Oh, we win unless they have a pinhole. I'm like a kid in a sweet shop though, Andre. My side deck is already full of other stuff I want to take. Oh, you actually use the side deck. I think I'm in the minority. Yeah, that is going to be a problem. All right, well, they flatline to Prana. Best card in the deck. This is only during a run. Yeah. GG. The deck did what we wanted to do. It kind of felt like the old PE decks. You do get the Saisentan damage? That's good to know. That was only on turn 8. That was a 12-minute game. That was very reasonable. Thanks to the game. You have the one of breakers. I take it. Yeah, a lot of times this list will run like one. Maybe I don't think this is on the Lamb Begamut versions, but like on one Shibboleth, maybe on an Ika or something like that. Cool, cool. Hey, Klana, what's the card in server 3? That's wage workers. So HB efficiency, this is the most important card from the Automata Initiative, like by a mile. You're seeing it in every single faction. Wayland is probably the least likely, but you see it in every single faction. And so when we score out a 3 agenda, we do advance, 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 get a click back. It allows a lot. Just you get away with a lot. Like it's fired, I think, every single turn since we put it on the table. So we are playing 4 click turns plus mandatory draws, so like pseudo 5 click turn. Ooh, the pinhole. I didn't have the board state to play around it. Yeah, the only thing against pinhole is like you could Daniela. It doesn't exactly work. Daniela will fire, but yeah, pinhole will eat this deck a bit. At that point, we just have a scoring remote server, which we can work with that. I need the straw. What am I doing? Ah, yeah, good morning, Kalana. Vanhar's only effect is to change the subs? Nice, Spark. Okay, that works. Jeez, bottle Byroid version 2.0. It's like this card is better than Jeeves in so many ways besides specifically purging and playing like triples and doubles. Yeah. Hey, cheers. Catch your hand. All right, let's do one more. Was this the deck the most QTM was on at Worlds? Because I know there was a lot of P. QTM was on either P or OP. Corp figured it out. Is anyone else dressing up? Oh, Jet. Is anyone else dressing up for Halloween? Hey, man. Giat was one of our teammates on COS. Got to meet him in person for the first time. He traveled like a really far distance to go to Worlds. Guy's hardcore. Okay, Hosh. I think Giat is just playing good stuff. Hosh. Doing well. Doing well. Against Hosh, probably want to get an Axis. This Fuji is like a bit of a liability here. Our opening hand, there are like some board states on which you can score out a Fuji from hand. It's probably not this one. But our opening play is like Vampire Nas on HQ. Hope we get an ice for the Regolith. Let's not go that far just yet. Yeah, I don't like Prana. I don't think I love this hand. I think I'm really scared of having the Fuji. I think a lot of times, like, you just want to blast an Axis. It's not as bad as RH, but like stealing an early Fuji just totally wins the game for you. I think we can consider keeping this, but I don't know. Again, this deck also doesn't have Snare, which like if Jad is aware of that, that helps us not a lot. What are spooky runner cards? This was asked before, and we got some good answers, like Ghost Tongue and like the creepiness of Abasu. Ghost Tongue is a really good one. I got my Reaper function shirt on for Halloween. Hell yeah! I kind of messed up bad because like I bought the size of the shirt, the frog shirt, except the size I bought was like you know it just fit me. And then we took it home, and then we put everything in the dryer to put on high heat because we were worried about like, you know, bed bug problems because Europe, you know, has issues with that. And then like at this point, it doesn't really fit me anymore. So I feel like I should have always just gone a size up and realized I just never like wearing baggy clothing. But yeah, I think I messed it up. Keep putting the straw away because I get tired of it, and then we'll be fine. Nightmare Archives is given. Reaper Function's all right. Yeah, Reaper Function works too. Yeah, this is the Axis you go for the Hosh flip. That's not a good start. I don't know why this card's in the deck. Like, I guess you can score it out with wage workers. But is it better to have another Blend the Water that you never score out? I don't know. Europe has issues. Well, right now, large parts of Europe are like struggling with bedbugs. I don't think that is, you know, character assassination of Europe. Montreal has had issues with bedbugs classically through the years. It's just right now, like, oh boy, this hand is rough. This is really bad. Banharing through a Vampy though is pretty good for us. Okay. So there's a chance we can do something with Moonpool here, right? IAA? Jia knows the list though. You want me to IAA of Fuji? Aksu, I don't know if I said hi. So if we install Moonpool, install a Sting. This is bad when you take too long in your turn because they know that like stuff is really messed up. But like, how many advancements do we need? If we install a Fuji, we install a Moonpool. And then we advance once. We can get 2, so we can score a 3-2 from hand. That's not good enough. I don't want to spend all that money, but it does fix our hand. I just don't want to, maybe scoring a House of Knives is fine. We'll try it. This makes HQ really soft though. I think I'm just going to go for this play and be happy no matter how it goes. Looks like you have issues with flooding. Moonpool F8, you think? Kira, you think we just get rid of these cards from hand? I think maybe putting the Moonpool on the table is fine too there. Because we can actually score out a Fuji from hand, I think. No, we can't. We can only score a 4-2. Bedbugs are terrible. I had to live with them for a few months once and it was absolutely terrible waking up every morning with sores all over. But yeah, no, Kalana, it sounds like an absolute nightmare. We were very, very careful with it. But unfortunately, like, you can be as careful as you can and it just takes one, you know, mistake to make it a problem. Here in the Netherlands, I haven't heard any issue with bedbugs. Maybe specific areas of Europe. Yeah, France. And then because there's a lot of travel between France and specifically Paris had a problem this last month. But like some people got bedbugs in Barcelona at Worlds. Like their hotel just had bedbugs. And like, that's rough. Nothing to res. Okay. Moonpool FA was the line I'd have taken. It wouldn't have kept the opener though. Yeah, the opener seemed bad. I don't like holding the Fuji. And it's just a matter of time before Xiao gets brave enough here. Moonpool House of Knives? I think that is the one that we would fast advance would be the House of Knives. It helps when you take forever on your turn. I assume you've gone off on a tangent talking with chat. That's actually a good point. That's a really good point. Sometimes there's just like someone said Arkham Horror for a minute. We had a steel skin. That's actually good. Because we couldn't really capitalize on that hand size there. But like one Fuji steal, the game's over. When Jat's on 6 points. And like we didn't make any smart plays, but also we didn't. Oh man, we're gonna get nothing. You just trash that. Just trash it. You got Fermenter. You can't give us money. We're PE. How are we gonna stick a Prana? Look at our board state. This is so bad. Alright, I'm just doing it. With R&D open, I really don't like this line. The water is warm. You might as well swim. Boom, leech destroyed. This is not good. We just showed there's 6 more points in R&D. And immediately was kind of safe behind a single ice because you can't really like afford to ban her into an Anansi if we have 8 credits. Jat there picks no servers. You can pick archives. It's more fun, right? Dirty Laundry R&D. We could consider House of Knives in here. Well, yeah. Doesn't really matter. Okay, game's over. This is so bad. We probably shouldn't have kept that hand, but this is not great. We could consider House of Knives in there. It doesn't really change on the Fuji text. Now any axis wins the game. So like we have to get Vampy on R&D, but then we can't afford it. We can't afford to protect any of our econ pieces, which would largely like we can't play Hansei on this hand. If we get a Prana out, we can't afford to protect it. Like we're in such a bad spot. This is not my beautiful house. Payu, how's it going? I think here we mindscaping just to get money. Just to get money. And we can set up the top of the deck so it's not super cursed. Now holding the Regenesis in hand's pretty bad, but I'm still gonna do it. Because any other play would be ridiculous, right? I'd scoop, we'll play it out. Like the problem is like we don't have snares, so like Jad here can't like really mess up. Not that I expect Jad to mess up. Hey, hi. I think it's a GG. Yeah, this is pretty bad. The classic PE lose condition. Yeah, we didn't develop a board. And like stealing a blank 3-2 on turn 1 and then stealing the 5-3, like, yeah, it's really hard to win here. What can possibly go wrong? This is where you need snare. Not the diesel list. I think Osako is playing diesels, right? This might be just Sokka's list. He's playing diesel and oh, Carmen's down. So now with Carmen, you're gonna see a bit more aggression. We could consider house knivesing there. We probably should have. I don't think we can afford to be too precious with these. Purging here is somewhat relevant as much as we don't have a board state. But if we purge here, we can threaten to res 1 card. Taking Jad from 10 to 20 credits next turn is like kind of relevant, but not entirely relevant because he still hasn't produced breakers. So we'll purge next turn. He probably takes the money though. Oh, yikes. Takes practice to learn to drive a sports car. Brandon, what do you mean? Which one of us is riding the sports car right now? I think if we purge, Jad is actually pretty happy with it, considering he's doing something and we're not really. I feel like we might have had a window to blend the water at some point early, like Jad did end with hand size issues. Okay. So now if we purge, we have to discard a card. It's pretty bad. It's not very good. He has his Carmen down, so like the face checks are only basically Vampiranasas. 2 of them are spoken for, as much as that's only our information. We can't really buy out a Genesis because it doesn't work like that. This is cooked. Yeah, we probably scoop because I think Jad's gonna play like very careful for a while, not just like send it, because I don't think he has any incentive to just send it. Okay, well, let's just see what the next. This has, mind you, blank text on win. Biotic Mindscaping Purge. We can, like, the problem with this card is that it has no text on when the runner's on game point. So it's not like we can set up a double anemone into Fuji. It just doesn't do anything. Now we have a line here that if Xiao runs this too late in the turn, we can anemone to throw out the Fuji, and then we can biotic out the Regenesis. Oh, you can't biotic out Regenesis. Shit. Hey, Tron, how's it going? Oh, I thought we could biotic out the Regenesis. You can't. Ass. That's not good. Server 5. Let's go. Fermenter for 12. Yikes. This has Noma virus, right? Yeah, no Noma virus. Cool. Cleaver coming down. Okay, so now Vampiranasa is the only thing that hits here. If we res an anemone, I'm gonna do it. Ah, that's a bad hit there. If we miss that, we use this chance that we have like a, you know, a window. This is, I wouldn't say control PE. It's more like a tempo acid PE. You can't really tell by this board state. Calvin, do you want to give us cards? That's a fun interaction. This card's not bad. Draw 2, thank you. So this is currently a 3-2. We could buy out to get out. Just kidding, can't afford it. I think Jihad can send centrals here, especially if we draw 2 on HQ. With on 6 credits, there's no relevant res here. If he knows the list, he knows there's no Atini, but I would really like a run on HQ right here. He's got his Ashiko flip. But like with 16 credits, 3 cards in hand, if he knows the list, if he's worried about snare, you don't make the run here. But if you know there's no snare, no Atini, I think you can just send it HQ here pretty safely. Because again, any agenda wins. It's not like you have to play around Sting. Just draws. That's fine. I don't think he has to take risks here, which is the problem because we have a longer game to play through. All right. Well, there's just nothing that can keep him out of the server. We can't biotic out the Regenesis. Not only do we not have credits, the text on Regenesis will catch up to us. Let's just kind of work him down a bit. See if we can find a window. If we get a window here, like if he doesn't run this and we could have scored out a Fuji, what's it called? Regenesis, we'd be laughing. I think he'll run here though. Pretty sure he'll run here. Ugh. Let's see. Ooh, that's a problem. That's a big old problem. Raindrops, he's not running here. Oh, we can't res. Yeah, this is fine. This is how we lose. Biotic. Okay, so now he has a huge incentive to run archives and steal 5 points. No big deal. Open archives? Yeah, yeah. It's a problem. No, we can afford to res archives. Like, we just don't have money if we can't stick a prana. 3 cards in hand. Again, our ability doesn't really matter. This is where, like, we have a fork between... Shit. We could have considered resing the prana and then, like, House of Knivesing him, thinking. And if we do that, we actually can res the Vampiranasa. I think that is the right line. We should have done this on the previous run. You can res by resing prana and then doing hook. Yeah, yeah, we should have considered that on the first run too. So now we have to be very mindful that the 2 damage doesn't work. Okay, so this is bugged. Fire. Prevent 2. Yeah, we'll prevent 1. And then we'll just stop there. It allows you to prevent 2, so that's fine. We'll draw 2, I guess. Great. That's it. See, all good. So now it's actually kind of risky, right? Because if he runs archives, so he has 3 cards here. Oh my. If we kept the House of Knives and we didn't lose it to the Maw, we actually had a line here. Stressful day made better by my partner ordering pizza and a horror film. Yo, which one are you watching? We watched Barbarian this weekend. Really enjoyed it. We got it? I don't think we have it, right? How do we have it? We're 1 credit short of scoring out. But it's close. I'm thinking we had 2 snipers. Yeah, these are not. Yeah, we don't have the sniper. So we can do 2 damage, which puts him on 1. We're really close to having it. We are really close. The problem is just like it's a matter of time before he checks archives. This is a hard board state to play on. We could do like Daniela Regenesis into a new remote server. Oh man, keeping the blood of the water. I think it's only a 1 of in the list. Would have been really good here because we could get him down to 1 and we could do Biotic install advance, get him down to 0. I'm not sure if we really want to do that, but it would help. But here he has like a disincentive to run. To trash this upgrade as an additional cost to steal an agenda. It doesn't matter if he wins. Decoy 2 new remotes? Yeah, but then we're really weak to Maw. I think we definitely need an anemone somewhere. So this is a Vampiranasa, we're happy with that. So we need a credit. We definitely need a credit. I think we draw once because we need an actual agenda. We need a sting to win. Oh, that's actually very interesting. Easy Maw target though. The credit is on the HOA. K? Oh yeah, you're right. We're right. We don't need a credit because we're gonna get the 3 credits for sure. Yeah, that's interesting. So if this survives, we can actually Regenesis out, right? No, we can't. Wait, we can. We can install this. We can Moonpool. Moonpool also just saves archives, right? Yeah, this just saves archives as well. So we don't lose this turn. We have a game of Netrunner. What happened? Moonpool could FA the Agenesis. This upcoming turn, yes. Because it doesn't add any cards to archives. It removes this stuff from the game as long as we don't trash an agenda. So yeah. But we can always just use this to save archives. It depends what he does here. Like, even if he runs this, we can just remove this from the game. Just put 2 agendas back in R&D. It's not great. Okay. It's 5 credits to break the Vampiranasa. Okay, we're getting back. I put the counters on Prana for style points. Ian, how's it going, man? Happy Halloween. Place an advanced counter on an installed card. It doesn't have to be an advanceable card. They're going to run server 6 for the Maw, though, but we can make it disappear. Like, we can remove it from the game. So it's not a free Maw. It's 5 cards for Anansi. Moonpool saving the day. Yeah, Moonpool will mean we won't lose this turn, likely, unless it runs HQ and finds one of these. But we could be on game point very soon. Ain't nobody running archives. I don't think you expect archives run here. Like, there's 2 agendas in there. One of them was mod. One of them we threw out. Like, we chose to throw out. Like, that's a weird line. Ah, never mind. Shit. All right, so we have to do this. No. All right. We probably should have House of Knives there, let's be honest. But maybe we want to hold it for a window where it makes sense. Okay. Okay. How do we get out of this? I think we can do Rashida and enemy pretty safely. Just gives Jot more things to worry about. This is where, like, again, Hashiko's free card draw is so good. Because just that sort of click compression to allow you to start with the bigger hand. It's like Earthrise Hotel against P feels so good. He's played 2 diesels. In terms of the heap, I wish we could order the heap a bit. We have 2 steel skins played, so there's 1 more steel skin we have to play around. He's definitely not going to play that. He's going to hold it in hand. So if we get a Rashid off, it's relatively good. If we biotic out a Sting, well, we'll never financially recover from it, but... Oh, we have no ice in hand. Absolute monkey. Yeah, this seems like a good play. So, I think we want to... Ow. I think we want to consider our last House of Knives token here. It gives us 3 credits, which is pretty good. If we res the Tatsubola, it cost him 1. This is a disaster. Yeah, this is not good. This is, like, we should have worried about this a while ago. I think the best case scenario here would have been, like, if this is a Nancy, then he has to break this for 5, break this for 1, break this for 4, which is, like, most of his money. I don't think we res this. Trading 2 for 1 here on the sports day is not good when we want to be able to threaten, like, biotic. You also could choose not to break this if you really wanted to. But yeah, also now being on game point, Danielle is irrelevant, and that's a problem for us. Like, yeah, it's just really bad to be down 6 points on, like, turn 3. Do we use the House of Knives here? I think we do. I think we just need the money. At least here, if he trashes it, he does them all. So that's fine. You can get the money from HOK while you can, yeah. So this will definitely get some HQ aggression. Hokusai sick. Like, our line is probably Biotic Sting at some point. But if that's the case, right, like... How much damage is it doing? 3 damage? We're sort of grinding him down? Sort of? I think he's going to run HQ here. I think House of Knives on HQ is probably the best spot. We can put Wage Workers in server 5 and not show it. We can put him Virus in server 7 because that's a 3 net damage play. I think that's probably the best we have. And Biotic means we can actually score out a 4-2 with this, which I don't think is incredibly relevant. I'm not resing this because I want the misinformation. Daniela, though, we can actually use to protect upgrades, right? No, it's only steel. Never mind. The fact that this game has lasted as long as turn 6, I think that Jot is playing a bit cautious, and there was a window where he could have ran HQ and had a good chance of winning a couple turns ago, and now he's allowing us to play the mid to late game. What was that? Did he just mosh? What happened? Oh, he did mosh. Wow, okay. Cards are going to matter. As much as being on game point, like, you don't care about the Obokata text. Hey, Aaron, how's it going? Spooky. How's your Halloween been? Or being? Do you know they're going to run HQ? Are the agendas safer on the table? I think they're more likely to run the table. Like, we clearly are working with multiple agendas. This deck has a big density, so I think it's safe to say there's 1 on the table and then multiple in HQ. So we kind of have to protect everything. Still no ice, kind of cursed. He might bounce off the Wage Workers. That's like the way that we probably lose in the late game. Did you read the new fic? Aaron, we're going to read it live on stream. I haven't read it yet. I have it open in another tab. We have no incentive to res this, but like he might just bounce off this in Moz. Didn't. Respect the Wage Workers, cool. 2 byte Ike. The board says a true spook. Con, how's it going? Okay. Are we going to pay 6 credits to do 3 net damage? I think we might. Got a boomerang and it's winning. This does look like Sokka's list. I'm going to pay 3 credits for a damage. Boom. Gotta miss bones. Mavirus has text. All right, down to 11 cards. Our economy's messed up. Jihad could run HQ and has a very likely chance of winning the game. I think he should run HQ here. Again, there's no snare in the deck. But if he does that and whiffs, like we could, in theory, top deck the one of Blood in the Water. That's a bit spooky. Just draws, playing it safe. And I think that's fine. Here, I think we just do server 5 credit. You do always come back. I know so little about Avatar to know like the relevance of that, but does he know for sure you're not on snare? I don't know if he knows for sure. It looks like the way he's playing, he doesn't know for sure. That's my guess. Okay, now I have to use the straw for water. That's going to be gross. Fermenter. See if you run server 5. We might have had a window here. We've been jamming every turn. Okay, let's talk through this. It's a Vampire Nasa. If we res that, we'll have no money, which means we can't res the Hokusai. Our better line is to res the Hokusai and res the Spin Doctor and just hope. We're very likely to lose here, but we've gone this far. That was not good for us. Shit. Good game. That went on way longer than I thought it would. That was 11 turns, but that's not a good start. I thought that would be over faster. Yeah, being down, found a lot of points. Yeah, that diffuses so much. I think that was a bad keep. I think we could have definitely played a bit differently and gone a bit more aggressively. Maybe played more like we were a trap deck and see how like Vlad would have played into it. But we played some lines to give us a chance though. Yeah. I thought there were some windows you could have tried to close, but I don't blame you. Yeah, that's the problem that I'm trying to address with my Netrunner plays. There's a lot of board states where I play not to lose as opposed to trying to close the game off. And you always want to make sure you're not overextending. Like, I'm not saying spend 7 credits to get a single axis off R&D. Like, that's nonsense. But there's a lot of board states where, like, okay, we could try and win this turn and not cost too much, as like, technically the longer the game goes, you feel pretty good playing this host deck with still 8 cards left. Do I get a non-paid ability window for Shameless CO plug? Yes. Hey, Winnegon, how's it going? Are you getting the money to play Biotic and Vampy and PE? How? Prana. Mostly Prana, I think. But like, once you get the Prana up, you do get a lot of money. I think every Prana, we've got a lot of money from it. There's a travel section at the end. Ooh, let me check that out. Thanks. Let me put that up on screen. Hey, GG. Vampy paycheck with Prana is 2 to res. Yeah, Vampy on its own is like only 5 credits to res. I actually really like Vampy right now. Resing this for 5 credits feels so good. And then it pushes you forward and pushes the runner back. Like, it's a huge tempo loss. And then again, if that fires, you res it for 2 credits. Like, it feels like, you know, the outfit. Russia 2023 H2 circuit opener. So yeah, Ziad came in from Russia to Worlds, which I think he was the only player from there. That country, it's right now very difficult to travel. So shout outs to him. So there's a circuit opener. There's apparently a really nice, vibrant scene of Netrunner in St. Petersburg. As much as I think it might be difficult to travel there, but specifically unofficial prizes. What do we got? Cool. Those were, I saw Worlds. Those are Luke's, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've now seen this regolith before. That's very pretty. And then there's at the bottom something about traveling, he said. Did he? Did he not? Should be here. Format, venue. Cute. Travel to Russia, feeling adventurous. We understand Russia's not the hottest travel destination right now, but it's not that hard to actually get a St. Petersburg considering the new e-visas, which are now available. So check that out. If you're in the region, you want to get a bit of travel, as much as, yeah, traveling right now in and out of Russia is probably a bit harder than it used to be for, you know, pretty obvious reasons. Check that out. All right. I feel like we are going to do some news stuff and we'll get back. Again, we're going to be streaming for a while, so I just want to go through some news stuff because there's a bunch of stuff. You have to watch it. Amazing series. Toronto, in reference to what? Excuse me. Amazing series. If you're interested in that kind of show, legit one of the best children's animated shows. It's all on Netflix. Tron, what are you speaking of? That needed a mulligan for sure. Yeah, that definitely needed a mulligan. Oh, Avatar. Thank you. Yeah. Very good. Okay, bunch of new stuff. Firstly, new NSG website survey. I think everyone has opinions about the NSG website. Shout out to the NSG like web dev team. They do good stuff. This website, not loving how it's organized. I still struggle to find stuff, and I've been here a lot. So if you have any feedback, you can find it here. That's pretty sick. Other stuff that's coming up, recruiting the startup panel. So this is Orchid. And basically, startup is such an interesting thing to balance. I think a lot of folks would be really excited if startup had some amount of balance to it because, you know, people dunk on startup for having some really powerful cards. And potentially there are some decks that are even more powerful than standard because currently there is no balance system whatsoever. Now, startup to me is really interesting because it's the format that rotates the most aggressively, as much as next year might challenge that when it comes to standard. But if you are interested in getting involved in the startup as a panel member, there's some duties here and some skills they request from you. And I've said this every time that NSG is looking to recruit folks as much as possible, even if you don't think you're totally qualified, even if you just like, you know, play a bit of startup, that's all you play. Like I would still get in contact and be very clear, like, hey, I'd love to help. I can only help with this amount. Like NSG is all volunteers. So definitely get involved there. It's really sick. Then we get on to a really fun one. I think we're gonna do a live read of this one. Your gem, Andre. Bye you. Thank you. That's very kind. Gonna crash out. Peace out, Andre and Frenos. Jai, take care. Oh, Jai, the altar that I saw on the decklist of the week. We'll talk about it more on Thursday, but I think that's great. Andre had to get a mask for such a wide nose, so his mustache was a bit. My nose is actually way too big for this. It's pressing in. It's really red when I took the mask off. But I actually shaved the mustache off. Again, face reveal at the end of the stream, I guess. The Legend of 2-Byte Ike from Aaron, a shoe flower in chat. She's great. Content warning, depictions of death. Okay. So we'll pause a bit if you want to pop out. The read for this is not going to be incredibly long. It's read like a chat log though. So maybe come back in 10 minutes if you think. Is that mask warm? No, it's just plastic. It's not particularly warm. It snowed here yesterday though. That's pretty wild. It did snow here. Ow. All right, we're going to do a read along. It's going to be a spooky read along again. Let's try it. HoloNet. Welcome to HoloNet QRTPS ssn.holonet.net. HoloNet version 9.6.2.24 originally coded by Guru. This is really fun for older for the newer Netrunner players. Guru is a character that showed up all across, but not spelled like that, right? Like Guru was spelled many different ways, but that is a character that showed up all across Netrunner, but I think mostly spelled like this. Maybe not. Gordian Blade. Is Guru actually spelled like that? What is Guru's name on? Magnum Opus? On like some really classical cards. Dang it, I don't actually know, but Guru's name shows up on a lot of cards throughout the history. It's meant to be like one of the original Netrunners that everyone looks at in like with high mythology. Really cool to see that name come back up. It's on Torch. Guru's name shows up on a lot. Oh, okay, it shows up like this. The core of the grid, a blinding sphere of light, teeming with energy, crackling with flame, beyond were only twinkling bits of data in a field of darkness. No hacker dared approach the core except one. He came back with a flare of code, a torch that burned with the fire of the core itself. The dark places of cyberspace were dark no more, and the legend of Guru was born. That's probably the best one, because Guru's name shows up even in quotes, but the legend of Guru being born with like the most ridiculous code gate breaker for a long time in the game is a really good starting spot. I'm surprised that we can't search this though. I thought that would work, but maybe flavor text is a different syntax to search flavor text. Is there a way to search flavor text? Yeah, okay, cool. There is. Let's try and find everything that Guru shows up on real quick. A Guru, thank you, Rylan. Yeah, so there's a lot. Like Guru's name showed up on a lot of cards. Generally as like, you know, the sage. Who said you can't teach an old breaker new tricks, Guru? Even on the original Corroder, if at first you don't succeed, boost its strength and try again. Letting us understand how interface works. Guru was a very wise character. We built the network, but then the network evolved. Can we be sure that it's not live? Guru. Nice. Subs are #rigs, LFW news, real news games, and hashtag Tony. No personal info. You get tagged. We don't know who you use the mods. Only 4 rules. Interaction mods are not parents. JP HoloNet, JP BR HoloNet, BR FR GTFO. Welcome to HoloNet. Illustration by Ginevra. That's a really good one. All right. Asterix, you've joined the chat. Haxor, it's the best on the market. Jando, OMFG, Rhapsodic, lol. Okay, reading? I can't do all the voices here. It's going to be hard. Died Richard, dude, the Code Ripper is so noisy. Use that, and you might as well be offering the sysops your head on a silver platter. Okay, I don't know whether we should be like diving into like tangents, but this is actually a really funny term when it comes to Netrunner, because while there are currently stealth breakers in Netrunner, in original Netrunner, there's also noisy breakers that had a downside because they were very loud as much as they were efficient. So that's really funny. SDFU, you know I'm right. You ate shit. OMG, no one likes you. Keep talking like that, you'll end up like 2-Byte Ike. What the F is 2-Byte Ike? FR? For real? For real? Yo, 6 and drugs? At Bones a mod. This script kitty doesn't know the story of 2-Byte Ike. This doesn't, like, reading this is, there's a lot of lead speak to read. Warily raises my old bones. Well, another scrub that thinks they can run with the pros. F you, I'm pro. Hush. Mods are talking. Interrupt, again, and I'll ban you. Serious, tone flag. So, this was a couple years ago now. 2-Byte Ike was this noob, like you, who came in here and did nothing but talk a big game. He started flame wars over dumb shit, tried to take credit for other people's scores, and was generally an annoying pissant. So we pranked him every chance we got. We hid like 20 spy cams over his pad, mailed him 200 gallons of lubes, subbed him to a lifetime of pipe fitting catalogs, delivered a box of actual bullshit, that kind of thing. That's hardcore. We'd live stream his reactions to chat. He got so pissed. Lol. One day, he DMs me saying he's sick of being the butt of the joke all the time. I tell him log off then, but he wants to make the jump to being legit. I figure he approached me because I'm the nicest of the mods here. I tell him, sure, I'll help you, but you gotta provide the job. I'm nice, but I'm not waste one of my perfectly good leads teaching this rookie the ropes kinda nice. Plus, I hated the guy. He said, yeah, sure, and jacks out. I was hoping he'd come up dry and drop the idea, but a week later, 2-Byte is in my DMs again and saying, I got a lead. I'm skeptical, but he's like, check this out. He sends me a link to the small digital solutions firm. At first, I'm unimpressed. It's called something weird like Hess Capital Divestments, but I do a quick recon and it looks legit. Turns out they handle a bunch of outsourced software updates for Titan Transnational's internal filing systems. Footnote, Titan Transnational was an old ID back in the day. For those who are newer to Netrunner, you might not know it, but this thing got banned out at some point. It was really, really, really good. But this was like the major bank that Wayland owned and operated. I look at the specs he's got, and the ice is serious, but not the scariest I've seen. This is a mom and pop company. We're well removed from playing with any of the really big boys. It actually seems like a perfect job for a first timer. I never did ask him where he got the mark. That's my lesson learned. Always know your sources. So I go over the basics with him. Planning out a run. How to be quiet in NetSpace. How to steal and cover your tracks. I forward him a couple real icebreakers. Nothing cutting edge, but actual breakers. To his credit, he doesn't argue with me that whatever pet programs he likes are better. Netrunner deck building 101. We do a couple practice runs and I'm not impressed, but like he's actually been listening to what I've been saying and he seems like he'll be reliable enough to not get me caught. TossJ84 joins the chat. What's good? Sup TossJ? It's story time with B-Bones, 2-Byte Ike. Oh, sick. So the day comes and we're ready to go. I close all my net connections except for my emergency line and the two of us jack in. We float around in NetSpace for a bit, bouncing pings off random servers, obfuscating your digital trails like I showed him. All systems are green, so we go in for the job. We approach HCD and the first layer of ice looks like a dense thicket of gnarled trees. I probe the woods with a dummy program, and the branches actually grab it, crumple it up like trash. Then I hear something moving in the trees. Lot of something. Tree line? I turn to Ike and he's clearly nervous, so I tell him, all right, time to put your big boy paints on. He calls up the icebreaker program just like I taught him, and he begins to spray this acid coat at the forest, melting a path through the trees. All right, so the idea here is we're very clearly saying, and I love when you see like, you know, how the programs work. The corroder from NSG is more acidic than the corroder, mind you, from FFG back in the day. So this makes sense. Again, if we're corroding through a tree line, that's okay for you. This thing wasn't very obvious. I think it just hammered and busted through stuff, but NSG corroder does just burn through things. I like that. He's created a tunnel just big enough for us to crawl through. The forest doesn't seem to be reacting, so I tell him we should go in him first. It's pretty claustrophobic in there, and I can hear the things in the trees. They're moving around, and I just know the things are waiting for one of us to get caught by a branch before they go in for the kill. Eventually, one of them lands near our hole. It's a big black bird, and it stares at us with a glassy yellow eye on the side of its head. We hold still, while its eye scans around like a sec cam, looking, but not noticing us, and then the thing comes off. All right, I don't know what this is, whether this is meant to be like upcoming Netrunner cards, but the card that's being described here seems to me a lot like Data Raven, which is like the big black bird with the yellow eye that just watches you and it observes you. So there's a small chance here that the runners are going to be tagged in the upcoming story, and that's probably not going to work out well for them. Eventually, the forest thins, and we crawl out unharmed. Ike's looking pretty shook up, so I ask him if anything touched him. He says no, but just to be sure, I take a quick second to scan mine and Ike's BIOS. Nothing seems out of place. I can't see any malicious code. I make a decision, and we continue, and 2Byte agrees with me, even though I can hear his voice shaking. There's a couple more pieces of ice after that, like a fairy tale giant the size of a skyscraper stomping around us on the other side of the woods. It tries to stomp us until my thirsty blunderbuss blows one of its toes off and it waddles away. And there's a lag bog, this thick ooze that sucks you in and leaves your rig permanently swamped. We string a wire of code across it and tight roped over it. And there was something else. Okay, this is interesting. The fairy tale giant, I'm not exactly sure. It kind of sounds like somebody is shooting its way through a Colossus. So Colossus in NSG terms and also in like FFG terms is, the Roads of Colossus, which is a giant, sentry, a giant, statue of the Rhodes, Colossus of Rhodes. And the blunderbuss, mind you, it's a gun. It's an old fashioned type, kind of like a shotgun mixed with a rifle. So it shoots out a ball with no precision whatsoever. The fact that like guns classically cut through sentries kind of makes sense. Whether we're going to see a blunderbuss as a program, who knows? Again, I don't know as much as this is fun story or whether this is like a teasing story, but at least it lines up is that you can shoot your way through a sentry. That's pretty fun. I don't know what the ooze is. Oh, you think it's Brawn? You think it's Brawn? Potentially it's Brawn. Again, we've seen the Black Ravens. That would make sense, but like we don't currently have a way to shoot through Brawn. That's kind of interesting. Valancho also is a nice way of looking at it as well. As much as, again, there's no way to shoot through a Valancho. But yeah, all of those are technically, giants, which is really cool. I like that. Pretty sure that's Braun. Hey, Sanskrit, how's it going on? I've been off of chat, so we'll catch up. B Bones, Abyss Bones. Halloween story time. Hey, Conquad, welcome to the stream. How you doing? This whole bog thing, there's a lag bog. That's really interesting what that is. Like, in terms of the words itself, lag time was like a current back in the day. It's not a piece of ice, but it was something that just slowed you down and increased the strength of stuff. In terms of a bog itself, sharpshooter. Sharpshooter's interesting. You're right. Sharpshooter could work. I assume most moderators are shapers for some reason, but yeah, there's a chance it's just like a sharpshooter that goes through any sort of destroyer, which would, again, I think leave us at only Colossus. The problem is, like, if you look at a blunderbuss, it is the opposite of a sharpshooter. Like a blunderbuss to me is like the most clumsy weapon possible. Like it often are depicted with these ridiculous horns. Like this thing is not accurate. This thing is like kind of brute force. B bones, bis bones. Stegodog. I don't know what the bog is. Yeah, that's really interesting. I like what's coming to mind is like chum and stuff like that, which is like not exactly boggy, but bog like. Hog. All right. Where were we? The tightrope too is also really interesting. For me, like I come up with images of garrote, which is the closest to it. A garrote isn't a tightrope, but it's like another criminal kind of killer. It's a rope, but it's a rope for strangling people, not a rope for crossing bogs. Oops, I just closed that. Give me 1 second. We'll just clear some tabs up. We string a wire of code across it and tight-roped over it, and there was something else. There was the hangman. Right. There's a construct shaped like a man hanging from a gallows. The damn thing is repeating this cryptic riddle and won't let us pass until we give him the answer. Luckily, 2Byte's info includes the key, so we shout, "Sleep!" And the trapdoor below it opens for us. This is really cool. So this to me seems like an upcoming card. I don't think we have a depiction of a man on a gallows on a Netrunner card. That'd be pretty metal. And that seems to be like where maybe, I don't know, again, the content wording maybe suggests something more sinister is happening, but that kind of covers it. But that's really fascinating to me. There's no card like that. And I love this. Like one of my favorite narrative pieces from the last spoiler season was the talking to the, what's it called? What's it named? That, NBN's knight character. Sleep is hush? I don't know. You think they hushed this ice and they got through it? There's a chance. There's a chance. Hush is like not exactly about sleep though, right? Quiet, I need to focus. Yeah, maybe. Starlit Night. Yeah, I love that. Like this is the part of Netrunner that like only in Biroids really comes up. But the fact that there's a whole bunch of ice that you can interact with, like, and when it comes to like talking to them and them having personality, that mostly only comes up with Biroids because you kind of reason with them for your clicks. But that's really, really cool. So I'm very excited to see what that is. But yeah, sleep could potentially be hush, as much as it's shouted as opposed to being code. Pink, I'm doing well. We're just reading through Aaron's story that came out for Halloween. How you doing? Hangman might be a TA2 spoiler. Yeah, I think it's so specific. I would be surprised if it isn't a TA2 spoiler. On that note too, like to some extent, these .brs, like I'm assuming that's a Brazil flag, HoloNet BR as like the Brazilian server for. So I'm assuming the narrative here is going to interact with TAI in some way. Okay, where are we? Yes. Ike's been getting more and more spooked and jittery after every piece of ice, but after the hangman, he's calmer. But now he's just kind of flat and emotionless, and his movements are sluggish. This is also interesting too. Sorry that we keep side tangenting, but the name Hangman is kind of fascinating for an ice name because it is a gendered name. And as much as possible, I think NSG classically has tried to ungender their names itself, as much as like the Hanged Man is kind of, you know, a known trope. But like, if I'm not mistaken, Drafter back in the day was actually had a gendered name. Was it Draftman? What was it? Draftsman? I think it was Draftsman or something, and early spoilers. And then NSG renamed it to Drafter to like, just because there's no reason that card had to be gendered. So I'm very interested to see like an actual straight up gender name there, as much as there are other gender names. Like Unsmiling Sarevna is a princess. So that's kind of notable because NSG has gone out of the way to stop that. Not stop it, just not do it. I check his ping and it's just under a microsecond. Hold on, let me rewind that. I sidetracked myself. Ike's been getting more and more spooked and jittery after every piece of ice, but after the hangman, he's calmer, but now he's just kind of flat and emotionless and his movements are sluggish. I think that this is capitalized. It's probably, it is a nice name. I check his ping and it's just under a microsecond, so it's not a connection issue. I ask if he's okay, and all he can say is, he can't feel his body. And I'm like, no shit, we're jacked in. You're not supposed to be able to feel your body. I figure he's just in some kind of net shock. Too much stimulation from full brain immersion. Rookies get this all the time, but this is the worst case of it I've seen. He's still moving along, listening to what I'm saying. I consider booting him as a liability, but we're so close to the goal. I figure I can carry his ass across the finish line if it comes to it. The last piece of ice is your classic bridge over a bottomless pit. Easy peasy. That would be envelopment, right? Is Draftman the multiple of Draftman? Envelopment is the pit, right? This is the bridge over a pit. And it makes sense. We're on a Wayland server, but this is, you know, bridge over pit. I think the only bridge over pit ice that I'm aware of. That's pretty cool. Ike is following me at a shuffle, and I keep telling him to hurry up, but he's moving like he's swimming through icy waters. The sky is fried real bad, so I tether him to me, because once I reach the halfway point, the bridge starts crumbling behind us. That's really funny, because envelopment does collapse at some point. Surprise, sir fucking prize. We're across the pit easy before the bridge finishes collapsing, and I drop Ike off and give him a full slap across the face. I tell him, what the hell, man? This is it. This is what you wanted. And he just keeps staring at me with that sickly look and says, I feel so cold. Whatever, I'm done with his bullshit. We walk into the server, ready to start pillaging. I'm just starting to siphon credits out when I feel a bright red pulse from my emergency line. It can wait the 5 seconds for me to take the corp for all they're worth, and even leave some nasty surprises in its empty wallet. But the pulses come faster and faster, brighter and brighter, until I can't ignore it. This is cool. Yeah, this looks like, you know, an HQ run. I'm assuming B-Bones, a lot of the cards that we talked about, like, you know, seem to be criminal type stuff, which is really, really cool in terms of like using weapons. And so the fact that this seems to be like a diversion of fun run, a diversion of funds is quite cool. The idea is like we're taking credits, especially because it's some sort of bank, a divestment branch, and we're making them our credits. What I find really interesting is this idea of leaving some sort of nasty surprises behind. The idea that criminals can, you know, ransom stuff and leave like traps installed in root of servers is something that shows up all the time in like people's self-designed sets. Like, make a run on server, install this card as an upgrade, and then it messes up with the corporation. I'm not saying we're going to see that in Dominant Initiative, but it's a really fun like part of the design space to explore. But the pulses come faster and faster, brighter and brighter, until I can't ignore it. I open my emergency channel. There are thousands of pending messages reading, "Get out," and "They got Ike." Now I'm confused, because 2 bites right next to me, and sure, he's acting weird, but his signal's good, and he hasn't DC'd. I respond to one of the messages with the flick of a thought. What do you mean they got Ike? The message comes back. We were watching 2-Bite Ike through the spy cams. Corporal goons with swords just kicked down his door, and killed him. And I'm like, that's bullshit. He's still here, right next to me. And I wave Ike over to me. Then the message comes back. They cut off his head. but it's still jacked in. Ike's right beside me now. His eyes are just showing static. Says, I feel so cold. And he reaches for my neck. Buddy, I've never jacked out so quickly in my life. Creds be damned. I drop everything, forget the credits, grab my bug out bag, and set my apartment's self-destruct button to 3 minutes. By the time I'm down the stairs, out the door, and on a stolen hover bike, I can already see the blazing inferno out of the 12th story window of my block. I spend the next month in my safe house. Someone says, bullshit. Oh yeah? Here's a spy cam video of 2x flat that night. URL is ZSweetbagCV4. Go on, download it. This doesn't work, does it? No way I'm following that. We'll go back because there's a lot of references in here, but the story's popping off. The weirdest part is some folks here were watching the whole thing, and Ike's connections never broke. Even hours afterward, the system showed him as jacked in. BMI connected and all that. Obviously, no one was dumb enough to go to see if his avatar was still there at Hess. But the next day, the fuzz came, took his severed head out of the rig, and just shut everything down. But Ike's connection is still on. You can check on the sidebar. At 2ByteIke. It takes a while to respond. You have to ping him a bunch. Everyone pings it. Not funny, guys. Everyone continues to ping it. 2ByteIke has joined the chat. Hackster has left the chat. Lol. And this is Helix91, which I'm not sure if it's new Netrunner art, but this is from Krembler. Krembler's done a whole lot of art, especially from the early sets. So you get some cool sort of like, I wouldn't say exactly JPEG expression, compression. Everyone in chat with the at 2ByteIke. Oh man, that's really good. From Erin, Null Signal staff writer from Toronto, Canada. She survived 17 years of depression just to make stories where everyone kisses each other or dies. Oh, that's really cool. Well done, Erin. That is spooky. So, all right. In terms of other references that we want to dig in here, I drop everything and get the bug out bag. Bug out bag is a card. It's a term, though, that you can get, as much as bug is also a term. But this is, you know, the thing that you put somewhere in your house so that if you have to leave in an instant, you can. They also talk about people coming with swords. And if I'm not mistaken, the Retribution folk, right, like are armed with blades. I think some of them are on baseball bats, but, oh, they're only baseball bats. There's a blade in the table, though. I don't know if that they have the desk had like the sort of tanto on it or someone stabbed that. But yeah, these people are smashing stuff. And then, of course, the block blew up. We've seen that, you know, time and time again. Scorched earth, boom. That's what Wayland does. I need to make a 2ByteIke account so that we can just respond to that every once in a while. It's super fun to listen to. I loved all the connections you made. Yo, Aaron, well done. There's a lot of really fun stuff in there. This whole idea too, right? Like I didn't post this in the message, but I know they were like soliciting. Anzuke was talking about like ideas when it comes to what's it called? Ghost Runner? Yeah, when it comes to like the new set. And this is like I think one of the most fascinating cards, as much as the way that it played out wasn't that interesting, is this is virtual stealth credits. When you play this, you get 3 credits on it that you can use to pay for stealth stuff, because that's why this card's interesting. It has stealth subtype, and stealth credits are on their own more interesting. And this represents some sort of ghost runner, something that's caught in the machine, and in the background it will help you out until it finally fades away and disappears. And the narrative behind this card is so fascinating and so cool, and the spaces between the data do trap souls from the past persist, and so it helps you with these like very quiet spooky credits until it finally fades away, whether it's, you know, done its thing and it can now lay to rest, or whether after enough period of time it kind of disappears. This is really cool, and this sort of like supernatural side of if you want to call it that, of Netrunner is like very interesting to me. As much as we've seen other like spooky cards, they're kind of like, you know, on the nose spooky, like, oh, also there's vampires out there. Sure, of course there is. Do we know roughly when the next set is coming? Kumquat. The last updates they put out said they would be in Q1 of 2024. So somewhere between January and March of next year. But again, those things get delayed with somewhat consistency. So like, that's not a complaint. I'd rather have a good set than an early set. So keep that in mind. But soon enough. Someone made the 2ByteIke with someone trying to get my attention. Really, really good. Hey, 2ByteIke. Glad to have you. Probably not Brand, since the server was Wayland. Valentia Colossus seems more likely. Yeah, I'm assuming, because again, I don't know what the bog is. Like, is there a Wayland ice that's like kind of boggy? But that server was like very quintessentially Wayland. It was like tree line into what it seems to be Data Raven, which was not an unnatural inclusion into a lot of Wayland decks back in the day. It would be a card if Ghost Runner cost 0. It was a card. Like, people played Ghost Runner. Like, this was not an uncommon card in stealth rigs. Like, you're right, the money on it doesn't make sense. Like, looking at this as a raw financial card, it doesn't seem great. But there was, like, this was in a time before Net Mercur, right? Like, this was actually one of the cards you put in your deck to generate stealth credits. Like we did not have a card like this that was infinite stealth credits, let alone like Trickster Taka. So like this card saw consistent play. Quicksand? Yo, Cephalopod, how's it going? I guess so. Yeah, it could be Quicksand. That kind of makes sense. It is a barrier and the run that's like kind of Wayland-y thing, and it literally is a bog. But like maybe to some extent, like it sounds also like red tape. Like this is something that helps other stuff, and this is the sort of bog they're going through, like a bog of bureaucracy. Gotta go. Thanks so much, yo, Aaron. Thanks so much for putting that out for Halloween. It was like totally, you know, we didn't deserve it, but that was really cool. More hands for Spooky Hand Runner. Yeah, that's true. It is more hands for Spooky Hand Runner here in Quicksand. Even like, is it a rhyme? Rhyme, mind you, is like a frost that like covers stuff. So not exactly a bog, but same idea. Red tape on the innermost is poo poo. It works on the whole server, doesn't it? It's been a while since I played red tape. Oh yeah, that's pretty bad there. But like, hey, ice placement's hard, especially for a mom and pop, you know? Okay, I'm gonna have to pop out for just like 3 seconds because this thing is crushing my nose and now I have to blow my nose and I'm not gonna break kayfabe with taking the mask out. So I'll be back in like 20 seconds. Is that a Sleep No More mask? I love the show. Been 3 times. I've been once, David. It is a Sleep No More mask. I think every year this comes up and I get to tell you my story about Sleep No More because I'm like a Sleep No More professional. I've been once, but like I killed it. I have a very, very specific set of skills that made me an expert at Sleep No More. Be right back. Okay. Yo, bot, how's it going? Congratulations on your AMTA. Is that your real identity? Assuming that Pat pops up here with a new set spoiler. Yeah, I don't know how soon we're gonna see set spoilers. I think it's pretty soon. This might again be a set spoiler of some extent. That spooky artwork. Maybe 2 Byte Ike will show up somewhere. Maybe some of these names will show up somewhere. I think that's like pretty common. Again, like we've already seen Netrunner references throughout the names here that it might not be surprising that in the future we'll see somebody with these names. I think Haxor actually also does show up on Netrunner cards. Dang it. Does it not? Wait, I did that wrong. Felt like it would have. Boo Ramu. Quick post spoilers before he gets back. I would be kind of upset if 2 Byte Ike doesn't get a card. I think it might be unlikely that 2 Byte Ike gets a card, but I would not be surprised to see 2 Byte Ike in card tech somewhere. Also, Rhapsodic is an interesting name, right? Because what's it called? Vanity. There's a very important character in the lore of Netrunner, FFG Netrunner, called Miranda Rhapsody, if I'm not mistaken, who was like the big mega star that's starred in everything for a long time, like, you know, the biggest Mega Million actress at the time, right? That's Miranda Rhapsody. I'm not sure how many other cards, but you see the sign here, Miranda Rhapsody. So the name Rhapsodic, to some extent, like, has some sort of cachet with Netrunner classically. B-Bones. B-Bones. Bis-Bones. All right. Downtown Debbie Moreira. It would be sick if it was even a virtual ID. That is actually another thing that I want to see in the upcoming set so bad, is that we have for a long time not seen these sort of subtype of cards. Helpful AI. I love the idea of AIs helping runners, but the AIs are like, you know, kind of have personalities. The closest we have is companions, and like the companions kind of fit that bill, but not really. Like Daig is, you know, everyone's favorite cat, sure, but like, I don't know, Paladin Puemo is the closest to it. But this whole like idea of like an AI character that's there to help you, let alone the fact that the art is in this direction, is so fun to me. This is like a Netrunner concept that hasn't been explored, I don't think, in a long time. Remember having a 4 agenda deck with Vanity in it? Yeah, me too. We actually fast advanced out some Vanity projects back in the day. We'd play a deck that had Vanity and then just like Global Food Initiative in it, and we'd be able to score them out. Miranda Rhapsody's on OG Celebrity Gift. Is she actually? Because it's mostly like a giraffe. Oh yeah, her name shows up. It is her. When Miranda Rhapsody showed up with a teacup giraffe, everybody wanted one. Yeah, the original Celebrity Gift art is like so unbelievably good. Really, really good. Kids are actually mining slaves. Jesus. All companions have personality except Fueno actually arguably has the most personality, right? Like if everyone plays Paladin, you're like, oh, cool, Paladin. But when someone plays Fencer Fueno, you're like, oh, she's out there to mess some shit up. Let's go. Friends break your walls. No, I think it's the opposite. Companions are Tamagotchi and they get angry when you don't use them. That's pretty accurate. But they're also like your World of Warcraft raiding party that like kind of disowns you if you don't show up every day for the raid. All right, last piece of news really quickly. Just as watch out here. So you might know the website Cobra.ai as like the Netrunner website that does currently double-sided Swiss tournaments, and it's pretty well used. What's it called? The URL is going to be changing, and it's now going to be at tournaments.nullsignal.games. Currently, if you write Cobra AI, it'll just get you to this website. But just so you know that, so you're not surprised in a month when you write in Cobra AI and it doesn't work. The reason of that change is because, from my understanding, the .ai domain names are absurdly expensive. So NSG was like, whatever, we're just going to go to something that makes more sense. So unfortunately, that cute name is gone, but it's now tournaments.nullsignal.games. And at least for the near future, if you type in Cobra AI, it'll get you there. I hope there's a link for this somewhere on the NSG website, so if you ever miss it, you can find it there. But just keep that in mind. The URL is different. Ian and Eternal? Yo, Anarcho, how's it going? Is Trace going to stick around as a mechanic, you think? I think maybe not. I think if it is, you're going to see it in different ways. There are still some relevant Trace cards, but Trace is at the least it's ever been. But that being said, NSG has printed Trace cards, unique Trace cards. So maybe. We'll find out. I noticed the redirect this weekend threw me off. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Mar mentioned something in one of the tournament organizer discords explaining that. But yeah, that's definitely worth knowing that this website is slightly different. Just the URL is different. Oh, speaking of events too. Hey, Izzy, I don't know if you want to travel 2 weekends in a row, let alone I got to share this with the folks from New England, but there is a GNK this weekend. This is being ran by Odanubo. This is Nick. And Nick has a whole bunch of prize support stuff he got from Worlds and around, and it's all going to be raffle based. So I don't even think it's like a Netrunner meritocracy. If you want to get some good prizes, you just got to show up, which I think is sick. So I'm trying to get some Rashidas. I don't have these nice Rashidas. These are from Amy Lane, as much as all the other stuff is really cool too. And I think there's even some of the Cat Shen pins and other stuff here. But that is going to be at L'Abyss, which is not the Silver Goblin. I was surprised to learn that, but that is at 1 o'clock at at L'Abyss on this Saturday. Yeah. NSG printing Trace card makes me feel like it'll still exist to a lesser extent, but it's hard to know. I think at some point, once Ashes goes, NSG hasn't printed a Trace card, because the only Trace cards that exist are within System Update, which is rotating, and within Ashes. The only weird thing is IDs, still have Trace or Link written on them. Trying to figure out how to use it. And there's other ways to make Link work as opposed to Trace, but this box in the top left corner having so much prominence on the card, this number, if you showed this card to a newer Netrunner player, to be like, what's that 0 about? It's so wild how big this number is, considering how kind of useless it is, unfortunately. Not that long. SU21 is rotating soon. Yeah, exactly. And then I'm kind of on board with rotate Ashes because I don't like Ashes, but that's a different problem, I guess. Ashes has ScapeNet. Not only ScapeNet, there's ScapeNet, there is Winchester, which sees play. I feel like there's 3 Trace cards within Ashes. If we do Trace, we can sort by set, we'll find out. Sort by release date. I think there's 3. There's Punitive, which is not an Ashes. It's very few. Yeah, it's Punitive, Winchester, ScapeNet, and Trebuchet. And Flip Switch has the word Trace on it. But yeah, there's a couple. It's 2 Wayland Ice, and then ScapeNet, and then Punitive. So it's mostly Wayland cards. But yeah, Trace almost never happens within Standard. If you look at this list of cards, this is really fun. These are all the cards that say Trace on them. And mind you, there are some false positives here. Flip Switch doesn't actually say Trace on it as much as it says you can deal with a Trace. Hunter is not real. So if we go X, Trace, Z, Standard, it's 20 cards. Yeah, 23 cards, and some of them don't actually Trace. Archivist, yeah, is a real Trace. Let's just go to images. It's very small. It's we're very close to this all not existing anymore. Link strength is basically useless, but it's super prominent on the IDs. Yeah, it's next to useless. There should be more that uses Link rather than just be forgotten about. Yeah, for what it's worth, like we used to have a set of cards. What's the one with the ant on it? There was a whole set of cards back in the day, and this text was not exactly relevant, but there used to be the subtype on programs called Cloud. And if you at least have 2 Link, the memory cost of the program becomes 0. I think that's interesting enough. It, for what it's worth, didn't really matter, barring like one card that cared about having unused MU. But there are technically other ways to use Link besides just using it for trace strength. And I think NSG might lean into that. I think that's kind of interesting, that there are other ways to use the Link. It doesn't always have to be trace. Yeah, Cloud Breakers were a good example of Freedom, yeah. But this is the only other way I think in the entire game that Link was used at all, which is a bit of a bummer. But like, the thing about trace, why NSG hasn't liked it. There was an article that June wrote a long time ago talking about it. It's like trace wasn't as interesting as it sounds like. It's just a credit check. It's just like the corp said, okay, basically you could have looked at a card like Punitive, and 95% of the time, Punitive Counter-Strike didn't have to have a trace 5. It could have just been costed X. And then you can get away with all these mechanics and just be cost X, X is 1 more than the runner has credits, something like that, right? Because like 95% of the time, Punitive Counter-Strike isn't played where the trace is actually interesting. It is played where the trace is lethal. So all of this design space goes into a card where the trace doesn't matter. But that being said, there are cards, or there were cards where trace is a bit more interesting. So for instance, Mid-Season Replacements is a card that the trace, the difference by which you succeed the trace, gives the runner that many tags. And so this is actually a cool way to use the trace mechanic, where it's one thing to succeed by 1, which could be relevant, and then it's another thing to succeed by 12 as opposed to 10 as opposed to 8. And those were all very relevant decisions if you played a mid-season deck back in the day. Oh yeah, Underworld Contact was being shouted out. This is another card that cared about like having 2 Link. This card does something if you have at least 2 Link. I'd argue that this card is incredibly boring. It's just Rozeki with more steps, but yes, this is technically the only other way that trace was used. Yeah, Trojan. Yeah, Trojan's more relevant. That's a good shout out, Thanos. Trojan, not Trojan Horse. Don't look at that. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. Trojan Horse is another card that works exactly like that. Trace, and then you have to succeed by the cost of the thing you want to trash. Again, this card has so much text on it to do something that could be relatively simply written. Is Midseason really a more interesting trace? I thought it was until I realized it wasn't a terminal. It was, Izzy, because like not always, but like I played decks back in the day where I played mid-season replacements into psychographics to get Atlas tokens, that huge amount of cards. So there was math to be like, okay, I want to mid-season you, but you're not going to die right away. Because mind you, back in the day when mid-seasons was around, there was no boom and there was no high profile target. So the only way that you mid-season someone was also to kill them is you also had 2 Scorched in hand. So while you didn't often see mid-seasons into Scorch, you often saw mid-seasons into some amount of damage that or like to give the runner enough tags that they couldn't consider to clear it, and you still had to turn to res ice. So yes and no. Specifically with the psychographics, you wanted to mid-season install Atlas psychographics, so then there was even more math, and then you still wanted to try and win in a couple turns. It was definitely more interesting than just like C-Source, which classically C-Source Scorch was just like, this could have costed X, but it didn't. I think traces are really important gates to win cons. Like having to pay attention to runners' credit totals is the only way to effects as strong as HHN or Punitive can exist. D, how's it going? I agree with that. But like the argument on that point is like, I don't think those cards are like, they're good that they have trace on them. It's just the argument was like all these cards could have just been like costed X or something like that. Because it's important that credits matter. I think that's definitely true. It's just like the actual mechanics of tracing itself are kind of overwrought for how it functionally comes into play. But that being said, like nobody plays Public Trail, but that's its own problem. And Public Trail falls into the sort of camp of Oppo, where it's just like you can guarantee this. It's just a bit harder to play. False lead NEH would be a lot less frustrating with HHN than Oppo. Yes, I think Oppo is like, it's good that it doesn't blow you out on turn 1, but like Oppo is fundamentally a messed up card that it can with guaranteed to give 4 tags to the runner. Like that is just messed up powerful. Like it's still beatable with Oppo, but the unconditional tags are wild. Yeah. The false lead NEH couldn't exist with the HHN. Exactly. Yeah. Because you could always, like, if the runner has infinite money, HHN doesn't do anything. Oppo doesn't care. And that was said when Oppo came out. The fact that this doesn't care is really, really important. Because you can beat hard hitting news by just having money. A lot of runners did do that. You can't beat Oppo. Anyways, when it comes to the trace cards, like cards that are actually sing play that matter, a Worry Tracker, arguably. No One Home, sort of, but not really. White Hat doesn't really see any play. You can still play it though. That's pretty interesting. Trojan Horse sees play. This is banned. Amani is probably the most common trace card. Surveyor doesn't see a lot of play. SIU saw play for a minute, and then like some of the Whale and Dice, like Trebuchet sees consistent play in the outfit, Winchester sees consistent play, Punitive sees consistent play. So like we have a whole mechanic that currently interacts with like 5 cards, which like probably don't need to do that. All right, what are we doing? What are we playing? HHN punishes unexperienced newer runners so much harder though. Yeah, no, I'm glad HHN isn't in the game anymore. D says, I think Trace should be maintained in Dawn in a small capacity. I don't think it should be ubiquitous as it is now, but I think Trace is such a powerful mechanic. It's also worth noting like Trace worked different in original Netrunner in a bunch of ways. I think the bids were without full information, where like it was kind of like revealing, and then you saw how much you didn't like. It wasn't the corp went first. I think you went at the same time. I'm not convinced that is actually more interesting. It's also worth knowing that you could not participate in traces until you had a base link card down. Like you just couldn't trace at all in original Netrunner, which like that's kind of wild as well. Yeah, let's play some either flavors of MNH. We didn't play Table Carnage. Let's play Table Carnage. Sorry, I've already done it, but can you shout out an NHG article? I think we did. Alec, which one? So speaking of Oppo research into False Lead, this is such a cool deck. This is basically like Rongi Dodge's version of the list, but we changed the agenda suite to play False Leads, and this card is really hard. Oh, Alec, I did promote the website survey. I'm excited to see any changes on the website for sure. Cool. So if you saw, this is close to Rongi Dodge's list, Ian's list that won Cascadia. The idea is that you just slam out a bunch of assets. That list was on SIU as a 3 of. And the idea with that deck is that if the runner did not run this, you do one of the few trace cards to give the runner a tag. And then if they have 5 cards in hand, you can hit them with the Mindscaping for a single damage and then end the line for 4 damage. So that kills a couple runners depending on hand size. But the big thing is these lists had, classically, the original versions that we saw earlier had 3 Reaper functions. So with 3 Reaper functions, you can do even more damage. So the idea that Reaper function, tag, and to end the line can work. We have a bunch of like really interesting lines with the list as well. Like Wage Workers is really good, as we've been seeing. The numbers on this are pretty favorable to the corporation, no matter how you slice it. And then you can res a Wage Workers. You can triple advance at tomorrow's headline. You can give the runner a tag, and then you can flatline them with end of the line in some cases. And there's a lot of really interesting plays. This deck has now more operations in it. It has attitude adjustment. It doesn't have a lot of ice. Some of the versions had very little ice. Now we're on 3 ice, 1 of each type, which I think is a fair way to go to force out 1 of each breaker in the worst case scenario. We have Gaslights to pull the conditions. We have Malia mostly to blank, I think, most of the hard tech cards. Because it's like if the runner installs a daily cast or like installs a Miss Bones and you res Malia, they just trash Malia and then unlock their Miss Bones. So I think you're more often going to see this maybe as a tempo play, only if it's iced up, which I don't think you're going to ice up the Malia, but more so that you can blank things like no free lunch and ways to deal with the tags or ways to suddenly draw cards so that they can't beat the Reaper function play. And I think that's fascinating. Otherwise, we're spamming out. I think the games that this saw on the table, this doesn't have a Mani Sanai, mind you, but a bunch of the games that were on and off camera for this deck are actually very fascinating. And even some of the like the most experienced players are trying to figure out how to beat this deck. I think there's some really good cards into this. I think it's called out that like, what's her name is so good into this. Hannah Wheels Plintra is just so good into this deck because the big fork here is that if we score a false lead, the runner can not hit any of our traps on click 1 or 2 without floating a tag. So the idea is that click 1, if they run and hit a Behold and we can afford the Behold, they have 2 tags. And if they have no tech to clear the tags, which maybe you could res Amalia there, you can go ahead and, you know, blank Hannah. They can clear a single tag. You can false lead that away, and then you can kill them with the Reaper function and the line combo. So a lot of runners are figuring out how to beat this. I've heard some very interesting things with this deck, right? Like if you just trash all their economy, that keeps them down. You want to trash the Reaper functions, I think, on site. Obviously, this is all like underpinned by the idea that you're risking Oppo research here, but a very interesting matchup for sure. And as soon as they steal a Bologna or a Degree Mill, and again, I do think you want to kind of get to threat 3 almost as soon as possible, because as soon as you get to threat 3, then the Oppo research gives you 4 tags, which is exactly where you want to be with a, what's it called, with a false lead for sure. Are there good bluffing mechanics on the runner side? Corp is baked in, but I'm not familiar with strong runner bluffs. New player? Peppermint, how's it going? It's not so much that there's runner bluffs besides cards that you can pull at instant speed. So like anything that produces cards potentially from your deck, right? Like so a Gachapon, cool. Gachapon. Maybe the corporation doesn't have full information. That's kind of neat. You have like self-modifying code, so they don't know what you can pull from, you know, your deck. I think that's the closest you get to it. It is worth noting that back in the day, we actually had cards that allowed you to instant speed to interact with like unknown zones. Like one of my favorite cards of all time was Street Peddler that had 3 cards face down at an instant speed. You could pull up a card from it. Also, back in original Netrunner, there was resources that you installed face down, and I'm pretty sure that FFG didn't want to bring those cards back because they like the idea that corporations does all things face downs and runner things do face ups. So there was a series of like connections you installed, or sorry, resources you installed face down that you were allowed to flip up during the right condition. I think most of them were like multi-axis threats, and yeah, I'm glad that the runner doesn't exactly have that, but bluffing isn't the biggest part besides like threatening that you have things in hand, I guess. I don't think trashing Malian to unlock a daily cast is ever right. It's probably not correct. I don't know how many board states you'd be happy to do that. I think there's some board states you'd be happy, but like if Oppo is online, yeah, that seems pretty bad. One was a basic gain X credits. Oh, no way. You used to be able to bluff hard by running all 3 centrals, but does have the same impact since APOC rotated. Yeah, the way that you can play can bluff, but it's not as prominent as it is on the corp side for sure. All right, let's give this a shot. This deck looks really fun. I'm like, before Worlds, I was talking a bit on stream like how False Lead seems really cracked right now, just because the way that it interacts with Oppo Research seems incredibly favorable and very, very, very hard for runners to deal with this. So I'm glad that actually came to fruition. I did no testing, and it looks like Snare Bears were doing the testing for sure. Also, mind you, Snare Bears, this sort of list, like very much kind of seasoned the way that they brought their runner decks, because they're expecting decks like this. They wanted to play Criminal, and they have a lot of, free runs, tempo-based runs, a lot of good ways to deal with assets. So that worked out pretty well. Let's go. The mulch matchup, I think, is going to be fascinating because we saw it on stream early in Worlds, and it was just like not a great start for the mulch deck. But if the mulch deck gets set up, I think they can disassemble this. Peddler, one of my favorite cards. Yeah, Peddler was one of my favorite cards by a mile. That was such a cool card. Forgetting my flavor buff, when to install a hippo off of a Q loop after they rest their outer ice. Yeah, you have to like really go out of your way to build any of those like instant speed trap decks, and they're like mostly shaper adjacent stuff. Table Carnage. We had a chat comment on Thursday about playing this deck, so here we are. APOC is ridiculous. APOC is ridiculous, but for what I don't like APOC. I really don't like APOC. I think my biggest problem with APOC is that was only 3 influence. But I think it's interesting that there are cards in the meta that are like, release valves, where if 80% of the meta is like going horizontal and doing stuff like this, there is a threat that can just say, I'm going to wipe the whole board. And that does keep things in check, as much as I find APOC to be pretty frustrating. That being said, sometimes you do get APOC to win the game, and those games are pretty exciting. I'd play, but I'm at work. Another time, D. I don't want to play against this enough to mulch into it. Yeah, this thing is crushing my nose. It's getting harder to breathe. We'll be fine. Corp. We have to play runner, though, because I have the trick or treat macro, and we haven't used it yet. I never liked APOC either, though. It was the only run all 3 servers worth doing. Oh, no, Deep Dive right now, Pink Warrior is really, really good. Like, Deep Dive is showing up at top table. It's usually the one of in Sable decks, but it's really good. Code and grading right now. Yo. 46 card Ken deck. Feeling okay about that. Grading about beats. Thanks, you too. Mulch. Okay, so against Ken, we're gonna see a lot of run events. This opening hand's pretty reasonable. We have Federal Fundraising, just an absurd card. It's like DBS, but it protects every central server. Kind of wild. So here, I think on this turn, we're gonna get a free draw because we're NAH 17 influence, the first server we build, or first time a turn we build a new server, we draw a card. So we can put down Fundraising, we put down the Regolith, and luckily we have one of our 3 ice to ice up HQ, so that we don't get just like slap diversioned. As much as there is a slap diversion, we could consider ducking it, but we'll keep this. The former, yes. The latter, about macromolecules. I got to ask D some B facts. D delivered good B facts at Worlds. Okay, so we're gonna do a double install here. I don't think we really want to show the wage workers, so we'll start with the fundraising. Okay, we'll put the wage workers next turn. Actually is really sweet if we do wage workers into Regolith. That's a nice way to get value from it. So I think we'll rather put the Regolith down. That could have maybe been wrong. I'm not sure the order there. I don't think I have a huge incentive to YDL there off the top. Out of the loop, what's mulch? Something to do with milling and lands? Oh, hey, early Debbie. That's actually pretty good. Mulch is a Netrunner deck that is about like grinding through your deck. It's a toolbox virus deck that wants to get most of your deck into your heap so you can access it with a Simulchip. So the beginning narrative of the game is you're mulching through your deck. Some of the games we played this weekend, it was like turn 2, we had 15 cards in the heap. It's pretty goofy. All right. So I think we actually do want to start with the wage workers here. We don't really need to do the NEH thing. Mind you, Debbie is going to be pretty reasonable. It's a way to get like value for assets. But I do think we're going to wait a minute. Okay, we have an oppo. We could oppo this turn. I'm not sure if we should be oppoing that aggressively. We need to res both of these, but we can always do regolith, regolith, res, wage workers, regolith, regolith. I think we can consider oppoing here because it's going to be ugly for them and we haven't used a spin doctor. So I don't mind that. I think we do new remote oppo. There, they have 2 tags. Enjoy. My macromolecule facts are a lot more boring. So here they have 2 tags. They don't have huge punishment. Carpe Diem. Mind you, there's no mark here. This is just a 4 credit card. They run archives. Yeah, I guess. I'm not sure why, but why not? Maybe they'll drop a Carmen. That can't be right. Class act coming down, floating attack, Mystic Miami. Wow. Okay. So in terms of the actual tag punishment here, they have 9 cards in hand, so they're not just gonna like straight up die. So here we can always like start trashing stuff. Getting rid of Debbie seems important. Getting rid of Mystic is like whatever, but this kind of, it's a Ken deck, so I don't know. I know Ken was like sort of tested for Worlds. So I'm gonna res the regolith. We're gonna take, res, take, and we're gonna go trash the Debbie because it is an econ card. We didn't really have financial punishment, or sorry, like other tag punishment. It's worth noting the tag punishment in this deck is death. It's not like we have like a way to score out agendas really quickly. And we also don't have market forces or self-growth program. So buy bands, looks like we're going to trash that. Again, Debbie, that was a 3 credit card to trash. So wage workers is going to come down. So it comes down relatively cheaply. Buy bands feels really good in Ken. It's a really cool card, especially with Mystic, right? Like that was free. Oh no, Miss Bones. Well, here they have a huge incentive to trash both servers because Miss Bones is going to get trashed for sure. So yeah, they run both. This is where like you'd hope this is a check a Scion. They removed a tag? Oh, because they removed 1 tag with buy bands. That actually worked out really well for them. We are struggling. They're keeping us down pretty good. Miss Bones is real scary. Yeah, this is like another big reason to run criminal decks as much as this shows up as a 1 of in Hoshiko, and most criminal decks is the 1 of anyways. They don't have good money here. We could consider attitude adjustmenting to start. We could also just like consider, I think we do attitude adjustment to start. So we'll shuffle back. All right, econ card. We kind of want to push the issue. Like we want to score out a Bologna here. I think it's really difficult to do that though. So we can do Gaslight. I think Rashida is fine. They trash the wrong thing, and that's the problem with the Miss Bones, is like they have a huge incentive just to run everything. I'm not sure exactly how you play against Bones here. They've been doing good. They fired Ken every turn. R&D. They would have to shuffle 2 back to steal the education. They can't afford to steal the Bologna. They steal a 1-pointer, it's like, okay. All right, that's the Rashida. That's the one thing they're going to trash for sure. So we have a Gaslight here. If we fire it, we draw an unknown card. I think we will Gaslight for an Oppo. Yeah. All right, we have a false lead. Problem is we don't have ice, and we're not going to be able to punish much on the board. They know we have the Oppo. I think we might go... Bones is finding a checkers or behold. Yeah, we have 5 of those traps in the deck. I would consider doing a solid advance on the Bologna. The problem is money's going to be an issue, so next turn we could res the Regulus, take 3 off of it. Let's not do that right away. Scoring a false lead would be really good, but we need more for that. I don't know if we put the false lead on the table because I don't think we can afford to score it out. Let's try. Try what it is. They know we have an Oppo in hand, so steal or trash no matter what. I think we're playing against a Smurf. Ting is a fine res here. We could let them in. It gives them another credit, but this is going to give them a tag. Now they know what they need to diversion. At least we can duck like not at all. But they have a tag here they'd clear, so they can check one thing safely. Because the tag means they lose 8 credits on Miss Bones, which they can't really afford to do. So there might be some respect here to not run last click because it's Behold. Yeah, that's the right thing to do, I guess. So we have another Gaslight where I think we're just going to score out the false lead and protect the top of the deck. So is there anything else we want? No. Top 3. Headline, Rashida, Bologna. Oh, that's ugly. So we can add... I think... Oh, that's really hard. We have no way to shuffle. We could have done this first and then done the gaslight if we res the gaslight, so we can look at this and then shuffle. I guess we'll add the Bologna to hand. We also don't have to draw. Leave Bologna on top. Yeah, that might be fine. Like, we're expecting legworks, right? All right. So if we score out a false lead, we go down to 3 credits. That's pretty rough. But now they have to be very careful. The problem here is we're not threatening Behold. That might be wrong. Duck, like, not at all? Yeah, I thought we'd be able to duck a bit better here. Smurf isn't playing under a different name, or Snarf isn't Sniper? Smurf isn't playing a different name. I'm pretty sure this is a competitive player playing under a different name. All right, Hermes, that's pretty good. They didn't wait for us to false lead. Excuse me, judge. It's totally acceptable. So now they're risking the Oppo research. They know that, but they can clear 2 tags, no problem. Top 3, Bologna Spin Doctor false lead. I think we'd want the Spin Doctor over anything, and we can do Spin Doctor into your digital life. If that's the case, though, we're going to be drawing into a Bologna false lead. We can discard those. Okay. Whenever I play on stream under a different name, Andre never accuses me of being a Smurf. Wonder why. Sorry, bud. All right, let's fix our hand a bit. All right, we have a Behold. We're going to YDL here for, it's only 6 credits. Still pretty good. And then we can get something on the table. I think a Behold on the table is pretty reasonable. And then we can fix our hand if we want to call it that. We can always throw it. A Bologna is the one card that we'd want them to steal, but I'm pretty sure they'll be clever and not steal it. We want to score out another false lead off the table, but like they've been, you know, this is the board state. Not take the money from the asset. No, we don't really need to. Like we have a YDL play, then this allows us to fix our hand because we have a lot of agendas and nothing to do with them. Headline's pretty interesting because if they steal at the wrong time. So I think we might do something like that. That might not be right. 6 credits yodeling. 1-on-1 ass Jockey, what do you mean? Sunday be good enough to be called a Smurf? All right, this is a really cool play, right? And this is another thing that a lot of players mess up, is that you don't have to call the pinhole threading target until the run's successful. So I've seen a lot of people say pinhole threading, I'm going to target the Spin Doctor. You don't have to do that. So now we're pressured to use the Spin Doctor because they can just trash it. And then we don't have a choice. So just watch out. You don't have to name this until the run's successful, and after that, the runner can't. So Behold, they have 2 tags. They're going to float a tag here. This is good. They shouldn't trash the Behold. I think that's a mistake. Because now that you trash the Behold, you are risking Oppo. And there's no reason to trash the Behold. If I'm not mistaken. Well, that's funny. Interesting. Ugh. Okay. You fire it here? It's kind of hard. Like, we don't financially recover from this. But they can't clear the tags. We have a federal fundraising firing. They trashed that one. Yeah, that's correct. But actually, that's wrong now. Because now we can see 3 cards that are new. Spin Doctor, Bologna, Oppo. Don't you have a regolith? Yeah, but we're 1 credit short. So, like, it's going to be most of our turn to get, like... You know, we take 6 off of this. We're paying 2 for it. Like, it's not even. We do credit. It's not better than clicking for credits. We need to trash him as bones. I think that's a big part of the narrative here. I don't think we draw a card here. If you're not YDLing for 18, why even run it? It's pretty good though. Okay. I think we need to trash this though. I'm not going to draw a card. We might as well. We need to get our win con. Credit, trash bones, credit. I think that's right, but I think we want to get the Spin Doctor. So I think we do Spin Doctor, credit, trash bones. That seems fine. Don't love it. Definitely want some more money here. So our kill combo, right, is Mindscaping for a lot of damage and then end a line. So that's like, what, 5 credit play? Yeah, we don't really want to shuffle here. Rashida on the table also would have been pretty reasonable. Because I don't actually know if trashing Miss Bones is that important. But here we just like click for 3 credits and then they can maybe diversion us and then we got a really ugly game. But yeah, this the federal fundraising, I think that they consider dealing with. YDL is a good start. So I think we do credit YDL. What's the next card on our deck? It was a VSA, right? So like we have to understand that if they start to clear tags, we can false lead in the middle of it. We can also res the Spin Doctor to get more credits. I think that's probably correct. Because this will be a 4 credit play. That will be more credit. Yeah, VSA is the next card. Thinking this is actually kind of an interesting fork. Because if we res the Spin Doctor, we get 2 more credits, but we have to discard cards, and we already have a bunch in here. I think we can just afford to do this. But if they clear the tags, we have to be quick on this trigger here. I think keeping an Regolith is wrong. I think the Oppos actually might be relevant, because they might clear tags here. They're not clearing all of them. They need to clear, because we can currently do a lot of damage. Let's see what they do with this. They can trash stuff on the top of the deck, mind you, with Chesva, so like they're getting good value. Buy a bounce, remove a tag. Okay. So they can go down to 1 tag, which is hard for us to win off of. Just thank you, face on. Nada, how's it going? We might consider false leading here, but it's a bit of a YOLO. Docklands, nice. Like here, they should ask for action. Because like we're not recovering, thinking. They're pausing here for action, because I think they're going to clear the 2 tags and go down to 1 tag. Do we fire this? I don't know if we do. What else do we have on the table? Spin Doctor. So they saw the top of the deck. So we would have to be able to draw into Spin Doctor. We have to hit the one of, we don't have a Gaslight anymore. We got 2 in the bin. So to be able to close the game out, we have to get access to the Singleton end of line, the Singleton Mindscaping. That seems too little. We'll just wait for a board state later. Get their clicks? I don't think we get their clicks. The chance of us drawing the win condition off the top is like super, super, super low. Nice. Run HQC2. If they steal the Bologna, they go deeper into the tag land. But this HQ run is free. They can't play twinning though when they're multi-access. So this is like the multi-access. Besides, like we're expecting legworks and stuff like that. Oppo Research and Rashida. They can trash Rashida. All right. I can't believe they didn't trash the federal fundraising. VSA, Behold, Wage Workers. So VSA on R&D is what we want. We'll keep the Behold on top of the deck. Actually, Behold and HQ is better. They're going to be running HQ every turn. Okay. So here, if we install a card in a remote server, it'll probably be the Wage Workers. That gives us some interesting lines. We want to get the VSA on HQ. And I think we just click for a credit. I don't think we have a huge incentive to show the Regolith there. But they are going to consider clearing the tags. I'm actually not sure if we need ice up R&D here. Icing up HQ might be more relevant. We have 2 ways to duck. Let's put another way to duck in the remote server. These are unique though, right? Yeah. I don't think you fire without knowing a game close. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, this is good. This is diversion. This is fine. It makes the Behold pretty safe. But here we can res some stuff. So they have to go consider trashing the Regolith here. So we'll res a Wage Workers and a Reg. So they can take our 2 credits and it might actually be correct. Unless they want to see 2 cards there, which they probably safely could with Wage Workers. Oh, they're giving us a Regolith and taking down the Wage Workers. That's very interesting. You did 3 installs but didn't res Wage Workers? I didn't want to show there was a Wage Workers. Because if they trash it, we're like, that click is not worth 2 credits for us. Like, we don't have much to do besides click for credit. Like, information is, you don't need to get Wage Workers every turn. SIU federal fundraising, Rashida. Double federal fundraising is relevant. SIU doesn't matter. Okay, so here we can do Regolith, res, Regolith, Regolith, Regolith. That's good. We have incentive to install something on the table though. So we will. This is a really cool interaction. This draws a card. We can discard something. I think the Rashida is technically better than the other federal fundraising. SIU, probably not worth. Duck. Yeah. I think taking on the Regolith was more important than taking on the wage workers with the overclock. Another diversion. That's totally fine. We tank this one. They had so much time to clear the tags, but I think they realized like we only have 2 win conditions. They need to check Rashida here. Actually, we don't have enough money to threaten a win, so maybe they don't. But like the Regolith is so important. They've seen the wage workers again. I'm not sure why. So we still have a spin doctor on the table. We can res the Rashida, so we'll do the Rashida first. Okay, so Reaper function on the table is important. Look at the top 3 of R&D. End of the line is important. The green mill we can shuffle back. False lead, end of the line. I don't think we actually draw here with the federal fundraising. I think we have enough cards. But we could have got a triple install there. That's a respect for wage workers. It's the second diversion. We won't draw. Okay, so they're on just enough cards here. First Reaper after 3 cards. Yeah, we need to... The deck only has 2 Reapers, though. It's not on a 3 Reaper version. So... Okay. We knew that. No surprise. I think... So we want to have potentially 6 credits, right? Yeah. So I think we install this. I think we install this and we just take 3. We'll discard some cards. It's fine. We have a spin doctor. The spin doctor's not doing anything right now, is it? Oh, it is. Hold on. We can't do that. We shan't. We shall. Huh. Oh, I forgot. I thought our spin doctor was accounted for. Let's try that. That might be wrong. So here, if they don't run this, and they have to clear every single tag. So if they don't, like this last click is so important. We win. Oh, we had to be really, have a networking there because now we res the Reaper function and now they die. We don't have to res this, but we can. So we'll start with the Reaper function just because there's a chance they have a steel skin, I guess. Some people play it and that's game. No, 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 boom. Yeah. False lead is really good. They played good control there. Like this Ken deck doesn't look like what you'd expect, but like it keeps us in check. That's pretty reasonable. Again, our kill combo there is just a couple cards, but we just want to make sure, again, as long as they have 1 tag, that would be lethal in that board state. So that's what's really difficult is you need to be able to check earlier in the turn. The other card we're drawing into is a Mindscaping. I know D was playing 2 Mindscaping, if I'm not mistaken, in the list. But we're only on 2 Reapers, 2 Mindscapings. I think they could have cleared the tags a long time ago. And until we get into threat 3, that probably favors them relatively well. Because if they try and score agendas, right, like off of R&D for the last couple turns that they're going for singles, like I think it just turns on our oppo, and that's pretty good for us. As much as like finances were kind of rough. We're not good with this deck. Like we only played 1 game with it so far, but it's really cool to see the lines on it. Let's try it again. Oof. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're good. We're good. Good thing I got my drinking beak. From what I've seen, second Mindscaping feels so much better. Yeah, I would believe it. I don't know where the influence goes in the wage workers or whatever. Ari can be a really rough matchup if Ari can get early, either if they're on Aeneas informants. We don't have a lot of ice though, so like we deny a lot of Arisana's ability. But Conduit actually can be game losing. Ari also has the ability to like offshore an SMC or a Simulchip to draw to 6 cards. It's something we have to keep in mind if she has a lily pad down. This opening hand's kind of interesting. Like we could do Rashida, Wage Workers, Federal Fundraising. The Degree Mill is actually relatively safe for the couple turns. We'll try and keep this hand. I don't know if this is like stunning or not. But we just haven't been on threat 3, and like getting to threat 3 fast is kind of important. This mask is pretty cool. If I wanted an anonymity, I could just do this all the time. What do you do against Ari is use the Federal Fundraising to keep the Behold on top of R&D always. Yeah, I like that. So like, I'm not sure how to play this opening hand here. What's most important? Wage Workers, Federal Fundraising is really important early because it lets you set up. The question is whether you install the card that's the best or the least best. Regolith access is really nice. Rashida seems like a bit too rich with this hand, so I think we could just do Wage Workers Regolith and have some options there. I honestly don't know if we need to do Rashida turn 1. It feels wild to not Rashida turn 1. Make a mini game out of it. You see a lot of runners, like after you Mindscaping, still run R&D, and I'm not sure if that's them forgetting, which I know I've been there, or just like, you know, respect. So classic Ari decks are not playing any way to deal with assets, barring Aeneas Informant, because they're not playing what's it called, the Flood card. Oh, that's a good one actually to deal with assets. On HQ here, this is really strange. This card is so good at like trashing, you know, Wage Workers for relatively free. But this is going to be 2 cards and install a card. They can't steal the Degree Mill. False Lead would be the one steal that we're worried about. Oh, shit. That's a really bad start for us. This is the sort of card we need Amalia. Because they can bounce off stuff and get credits. If they get 2 of these down, like, it's really bad. I think this is like the way that you can make the Arisana deck feel good into assets. If people never run Mindscaping, always put agendas on top. And sometimes with like, it's hard with Spin Doctor unless it's res. Like, you can use that, you know. That's what you did in Egg Infusion to get rid of cards. But this means they can really bounce off of everything. Wow. 2 Baya bans and an Aeneas early? Nice. Did Toronto go from chat to play and pick the Aeneas deck? I think it's likely. I think we see that a lot on the stream, is that, you know, people see what we're playing, and maybe it's a deck they're practicing, but like this is the sort of RE lists that you want to play into this, the Aeneas version for sure. Yeah, once they get 2 down, they just check everything, only trash and right stuff, and I wouldn't say the game is over because False Lead's pretty wild. But it's a problem. Here we can oppo them, though. If we have an oppo, it's pretty good. Credit. Okay. Oh, Checklist also is like very fascinating. So I think we just res Wage Workers, we take 6, get a draw. I don't know whether against this we should just build the board state, but that seemed like a pretty good on-tempo turn. Nice, Checklist for days. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I get like salty about it. It was like, you know, players know what we're playing and they want to build play a deck into it that will have like a good chance. And like, I get that. It's less interesting when people put a deck that has like no chance against it. Like, at least that makes better content. Nice. Scion. Enjoy your tag. You can bounce off of this. You shouldn't trash it. Good. Let alone for Aeneas, but it turns out an oppo. Yeah, it's cool. It's kind of a shell game deck in some ways. Like, it's a mixture, just like the Jinteki deck, it's a mixture of shell game and, you know, non-shell game. Here, their economy, though, has dried up. And that's going to be the good thing. If they can't bounce off Aeneas, right? Like, our economy is reasonable. I'm not entirely sure if Ari has a great matchup. I'm pretty sure Ian was said, at least the original version, they didn't have Checklist and Biovault. If there's just like 1 no free lunch and then Eos's, it's like a free matchup. Like, this is how we get Ari. Like, I think scoring a blown out is like a pretty reasonable line. Triple install. I think we're just going to take some money here. We don't actually need the money. Maybe a 4th card on the table, like a False Lead, would be better. I do regret that immediately. A False Lead at the right time is important because we could trade a False Lead to trash like double Aeneas at some point. But yeah, it's actually kind of hard for Ari to like transition into getting her economy engine up because it's like, you know, environmental testing and you have to install a bunch of stuff. And specifically, the Trojans are blank if we install no ice, as much as Conduit Aeneas is a problem. So it's all about having the second Aeneas. And some of these decks are actually only on 2 Aeneases, not even full 3. So we might be okay. We might actually be fine. But yeah, hitting the Behold at the wrong time. And like sometimes you still have to check them even if we don't res. Yeah, like how do you get value out of this? Like that's the best case. I think there you probably run. Like that can't be correct. Like there you run, you bounce off the Regolith, you get a credit, and you install the Eco for free. You don't just install that there. You always run. There's nothing that punishes you for running that you expect in the deck, I don't think. It's just losing a click or a credit. We'll do Rashida first. Okay, so here, like in theory, you have to watch out. Again, SIU is the only way that we can really punish it, but they're not running though. We're gonna get down the False Lead. Top 3, Oppo. We want that. Serevna is really interesting. Ika does deal with it. I'm wondering, is it like, do you just not install ice against this matchup? All right, we're gonna do a quad install here for sure. No reason to run, he says, well, check and behold. No, but they run the Regolith. Like they know it's a Regolith, and they just bounce off of it, get an Aeneas credit, and Ika with the Arisana. Like, it's just a straight loss of a credit. Yeah, I don't know if we want to. We're gonna have to discard some cards here, which is kind of rough. But we can do a quad install. Behold an HQ. I don't think there's a huge reason to HQ. If we attitude adjustment, we should have done it first. I'm sorry this gets so small. Eventually, once we res things, this will be better. I think we could consider, like, I don't know. We probably don't set Evna there, but they have Ika, so they already have their stuff set up. We'll try not. We'll try and just discard it and see if we can play without ice. I think it's nice to have some ice against Conduit, but let's hopefully we win before that. We'll keep, again, there's less HQ pressure than R&D pressure, so agendas and HQ seems kind of fine. As much as we just put the beholds on the table. And I think the behold on the table is wrong here, because they probably don't check the table if they have no credits, as much as maybe they get a second Aeneas and start to get brave. Why not attitude adjustment there? We could have done it sooner than later, but I do think that we lose on Conduit sooner than we lose on HQ pressure. And we don't really need the money. I think the good thing about the attitude adjustment is we can draw into, like, we need our Reaper functions. So yeah, maybe we should have. This is why we put stuff on the table. So server 9 is the one we want to keep. You see, this is the play that you make, and then you bounce this. So this is a click for 2 credits. Cool. So now all we do is we score out the false lead, and then next turn we score out a Bologna. We install Advance of Bologna. Throughout environment testing lily pad. Okay. So we have Behold, Scion, false lead, Gaslight. We don't really need anything but the Gaslight here. Bologna ping YDL. Okay. I guess we draw. I guess we always draw. So here, this is resed, so we can do triple advance and still have a click left. If we build a new server, so they know server 4 is a check of Scion, so if we don't want to get a card draw, we can install on top of it. I think we do. I think we just put a Bologna on the table. We can't score it out this turn. What's on top of the deck? Another Bologna? It's another Bologna, so we could just put a Bologna in another server. If they steal it, we oppo them, and then we win the game because we have a false lead and we have Mindscaping. So I think we just do this. We gotta discard some cards. I'm gonna try and play with no ice. I don't think we need a lot more money, so we'll get rid of the YDL. Couldn't just play YDL where we're overdrawn. We just don't need money, right? Like, money is good, but like we can win the game with only 13 credits here. Money is not always necessary. We'd rather like progress to our win game, because eventually, especially when Arsana gets out 3 Aeneas Informants, like that's a problem. Like, we're technically on a clock. We talked about this earlier in the stream. Like, getting money is not always the best thing to do. But next turn, we'd probably like do triple install advanced Bologna once, maybe. Because we can't score it this turn. Yeah, this is what they should be doing. They just don't have a way to bounce the Ika. Casual 5-click corp turns. Arguably 6-click, right? Because we got a free card draw as well. So we got mandatory card draw, triple advance, Jeeves. Right? Like, it's goofy. It's really goofy. Creative commission 10 credits. Great. We also can advance the Scion. I think that actually might be right, is that we advance Scion once, advance Bologna once. VSA is interesting because they actually have to have a decoder. So I think we do advance, advance, advance VSA on top. I don't think we draw here. Hey, Rahi, how's it going? Have you tried Cyber Feeder? Like the card from the core set? How's it going, by the way? I don't know what that means. I don't know if we draw a card here. So we can advance this once, we can advance this once, we can advance this again. And then we can get our click. We'll just VSA it up. The problem with VSA up is it's bad because they could like, yeah, let's try and play no ice. Because if they get a, what's it called, on a Cubon, it's pretty bad. Firefox extension, love your work. Oh, I don't know what that is then, right? I don't know if you have a link or something. I am on Firefox though. Second environment testing, Lilypad finally down. We have to respect this because SMC, they can draw a card in their turn. Firefox add-on that made show card labels and other cute lives. Right, do you have a link? That's sick. If you're doing Firefox stuff to make, you know, quality of life, you have the right audience, that's for sure. All right, so we're just gonna try and score out to win. So we need, like, we really need on the table. Maybe we can gaslight here just to shuffle, because we know we're not drawing into what's it called, the Reaper function. We need a Reaper function. So I will. I'm gonna do gaslight first to shuffle. We'll go for a Reaper function. Sorry, for Mindscaping. Top 3 cards. We want a Reaper function. We found one. Malia is also really interesting because we can Malia the, what's it called? We only have one install here though. So we will not do the Malia. I'm not going to draw. So our goal here is to score at the blown to go to threat 3. We have a Wage Workers click. And then we can use that to put the Reaper function on the table. That will largely force them to do something. Malia is interesting. They're going to have a lot more credits next turn, but again, we don't care with false lead. It just matters how many cards they have in their hand. So we need to oppo for 7, and then we need to hold 5 more credits. So we can probably throw out the Bologna. It's a bit risky. It's a bit risky to throw out the Bologna, but I think it's probably the worst card. Malia is actually kind of interesting, but if they play like a tech card to draw cards or clear tags, I think we'd rather have the Malia. Let's try that. Yeah, Rahi, I don't know if you have a link. If it doesn't allow you to post a link, let me know. Conduit. Okay, they're trying to win. At least we know where there's a lot of agendas here. 2B holds are accounted for. Now, if they steal or trash, why don't we just go for the Bologna to force the oppo? Because we couldn't that turn. We would next turn. But you're right. We wanted to keep that Bologna to push out. I think you're right about that. Here, they have to be worried about this checklist, though, because if they don't run it and it's an agenda, we can just do quad advance. So, like, technically, the win is potentially risky on table. Like, they have to respect this, because if this is another agenda, we can do advance, 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 Wage Workers advance, and win next turn. And I know that play comes up a lot in stall advance in this matchup. Because of the Wage Workers, this could be the game right here. No action. But yeah, Conduit into Aeneas Informant is really important. We should know the next card on R&D, though. I forget what it is. Cool. All right. What do we have? Reaper function. So that does... Well, it's not lethal. Look at the top 3 of the deck. Hedge fund, Reaper function, Wage Workers. So there was a hedge fund on top. We want to retain the hedge fund on the top so they don't, like, conduit out of control. So double Reaper is 4 cards. Mind you, we have to play around a 6-card hand because they can SMC to draw. So, like, to some extent, we need to install the degree mill and advance it. But we could have won on the table. They just called it, right? Like, they assume it's not. Yeah, having the Bologna would have been pretty okay here. Because we had to force the issue, and now there's a chance they run archives, run the agenda, and then win off of R&D. So pushing the last agenda is actually kind of tricky here. We would need an SIU on the table to have a chance. Otherwise, we have to take some risks. I think with Malia, we'll definitely blank the environmental testing. I don't think actually money's that important, now that I think about it. We know there's a hedge fund on top that we are going to draw, because we chose to draw the Wage Workers, which might have been incorrect. Triple install and advanced mill once? I think we do, but I think there's some lines that we lose here. There are some lines that we lose. I definitely wanted to keep the hedge fund on top. I didn't mean to draw it off of the federal fundraising. They know this is the Scion now. I think it's more important to get another Wage Workers down, because if they trash this one, our single advance play doesn't work. We can install existing server to dodge any H draw. That too. Yeah, that probably would have been correct. They know what the Scion is. I think that's right. We could have at least played around it if we installed on top of it. That's a good shout out, Augustus. We didn't have to build a new server. They know what server 4 is, let alone server 10 is probably not an agenda anymore. So if they win, they win. There's some incentive here to run archives because they expect there to be a spin doctor, but we haven't found a spin doctor yet. We did throw out an attitude adjustment, which works for archives, but Cleaver, just to draw a card? Oh, and to gain 9 credits, yeah. Okay. But they have to run this, which means they have to win this turn. It's possible. I think there's a chance that we lose this turn. But they have to make exactly the right lines, and then after that, yeah, they only have 1 more click. After installing to activate it, you need to click Jinteki logo from URL bar. Rahi, how do I find out more about this, though? So we can do 4 damage on the table. You have false lead? Yeah, but if we oppo them, they still have 2 clicks to win the game, right? Like, if we had 2 false leads, it'd be guaranteed. With 1 false lead, it's not guaranteed. So here they could decide not to steal and trash the Wage Workers, and if that's the case, the second Wage Workers is important. Yeah, there's no tags. There's no tags. Oh yeah, if we had SIU on the table, we could wage, but we don't have the money to SIU. They stole it. Okay, so now Oppo is online for a minute, and they can only clear 2 tags. That being said, we can still lose. On action? No, thanks. I put the comma in the wrong place. No, thank you. So here they can disassemble us to win. And if that's the case, I think we misplayed it. Well, let's see. Let's see. We can zoom in maybe 1. Yeah, we can zoom in 1. So let's see what they do here again. This will see 2 new cards. We don't know any of the top of the deck. We could have left the hedge fund there. That would have been safe. The Bologna stops being relevant. The degree mill stops being relevant. Stealing even a false lead or headline means they win on 2 axes, which is a problem. So like the line here is probably just like smash R&D. I don't know if there's anything on the table they have to be worried about. Like, I think the best line for us here would have been like triple advance if we had another false lead on the table and then play Oppo, and then we just win. It's 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, we're 1 credit short from that line, but we can always do a credit. So technically on the table, if we have a false lead, we can do triple advance, Oppo, then we just totally delete their whole turn by playing 2 false leads. Yeah, this makes sense. We're not worried about the Neas Informant. They should be trashing cards here, because it's not about having money into Oppo anymore. To trash SIU? Yeah, they just want to see deeper. So all we have to do is last click play Oppo, and we want to top deck an attitude adjustment. They trash the Spin Doctor. That's the card we wanted to draw. So they trashed the Spin Doctor. So they saw top, Spin Doctor trash, 3rd. And it's a federal fundraising. Okay, so looking at our table, we can do 4 damage with Reaper function. It doesn't really help. So started turn triggers, we don't have much here. So we're going to Oppo, and basically they have 2 clicks to win. Look at the top 3 of the deck. Okay, so there is a attitude adjustment. The problem is if we play attitude adjustment, we shuffle R&D. So that's not good for us. Link in the GLC tools development. Check it out when you have time. Thank you, Rahi. I definitely will. Now, Wage Workers doesn't allow you to purge Oppo, which here would have been like the play for sure. So what do we do here? It's too late to res the Reapers. That's totally fine, though. I think we just Oppo and pray. Done. We don't draw here. So we definitely Oppo. If that's the case, we just do like... Oh, man. Yeah, I think we just do credit, credit, credit. Oppo, right? We have no way to interact with that conduit. Here, having 1 piece of ice would have been kind of reasonable. But then they can Peach a Sean through it, potentially. If that was the case, like if it was like a Serevna, that we should have like Reaper function twice. But I do not like our board state. All right. They have 2 clicks to win. I don't think there's a better play there on the table. Oh, we could have done credit, credit, credit. Sorry. Wage Workers. Imagine World of G's where you can purge then Oppo. I know, yeah. Yeah, we should have done credit, 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 Wage Workers, Oppo. We lost the credit. So we just have to hold this button here. We know the top 2 of R&D are safe. So they're going to see 1, 2, 3 cards. Again, running archives is actually the winning line here. Yeah, keeping this in hand would have been better. I don't know why we pitched this. We felt like we needed our cards in hand, but like this in hand is harder. They have no way to make HQ multi-axis. And again, R&D is where it is. So archives is kind of free. So I think it's very likely we lose here. The problem is they have to do it in 2 clicks. Shit. Not a good start. Hedge credit Oppo seems better. Yeah, but lowers the density in hand. So like if we have 5 cards in hand, they might run HQ more. Yeah, we definitely shouldn't have discarded that. So now they win on R&D run. Any agenda wins the game. All right, so we'll just go ahead and false lead this. Either they see what? 2 new cards here? They win or we win. So we know the top 2 are operations. Ha! Good game. Nice. Yeah, we definitely shouldn't have pitched that. If we didn't pitch that, we probably would have come away with that. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, maybe. I think they see one more card here. Thanks for the game. Yeah, I don't think we developed fast enough, and I don't like what we did with the archives. Again, I think keeping an HQ is much safer because they have no good pressure on HQ. Yeah, that is it. In terms of the agendas, there's only 3 agendas and 4 agendas in the deck. So yeah, maybe unlikely. We knew the top 2, so we would have been safe for a while there. So if they just did conduit runs, we would have won. So it's like archives R&D. That's a pretty good sus if they figure out how to run archives there. But yeah, I think like maybe we should have kept beholds. They weren't checking the table for a while. Like you saw they were bouncing off this, so the oppos on the table didn't make sense. I think we should have just pushed to our win condition sooner. That's interesting. Want to do one more with this? How are y'all feeling? I don't know if you like acid spam. I think it's interesting, but I understand why a lot of people just like kind of glaze over when they see it because they're like, I don't want to do this. This is not my Netrunner. Oh, switch to Ghost Meat, Essa, or Sable. I will do Sable. Just because we haven't trick-or-treated. That's a good shout out. We played Sable Carnage last week. I think we're just going to play it again because it's really fun. We've had questions in chat about like how to get good accesses off of Sable. Like how to make it work for you, because it is one of those sort of things where it gives you a daily goal and sometimes it's wrong to do the daily goal. So I really like Cable Carnage's Sable list, the Snare Bears list. I think it's very well oiled. So I'll give it a shot. And we can say trick or treat a lot, which is good fun. mulch. Ah. JHM89714. Okay. So this could be Canel. I don't have any experience playing against the NEH decks, or sorry, the R+ deck that Pincel played. I just want to pull it up really quickly because it could easily be it. Echelon and Crim, what a world. I know. That's what happens when you ban Obligalter. But like Canel Plus, I don't know. This could be what's it called? Sparrow type brawler lists. But there wasn't that much R+. A well-tuned Snare Bears Crim list? I'm shocked. Jeff, how's it going? Jeff, you're not streaming. What's happening? So this is, yeah, it is acid spam again. The criminal matchup is actually relatively good. In terms of the traps in this list, there are none besides the ice, which like can be rough for us. Okay, our opening hand, we have 2 breakers. Not sure that we want that. We have a classic favor, so we have 3 breakers in our hand. Glad you like the pick of Solomon. Oh, hey! Yeah, thanks for that. That's very kind. That was very sweet. Okay, so I do know who JHM is. They weren't able to make the Worlds, but they sent like a little card with a picture of their cat on it with a nice message. It's very cute. We're gonna mulligan this. I for one miss Jeff's streams. Very welcome. All right, so this opening hand, we have Paladin Puemo. It can be difficult to get Bravado. Mindscaping early, what does that mean? Like probably kill deck, right? So assuming it's hard to Bravado into this matchup to get good value, but they need Ice Up HQ for sure. They did. Okay, cool. So like we can consider just bravadoing it. The problem is like it's kind of bad on tempo because most of the ice they res for free. That's a problem. They're coming back Cinderin. I thought I read they're coming back for Cinderin, which is really cute. So we might be a bit passive here. Like we can set down Paladin Puemo. Classic mind you the connection, so that doesn't work. So we're like, I don't know if we want to bravado HQ. Spending a click to remove a tag is really bad. As much as like there's a chance it's a VSA and we just like diversion through it. So I don't love these hands where it's like everything tells me to run and then R+ says like you probably shouldn't be running. Right? Like that. Daily cast Sunai's emoji. Yo, Monty, how's it going? I heard a bit of you casting on the weekend. I'm excited to listen to more of it. Yeah, like here, I don't know. Like Paladin credit seems so slow. I don't love playing, what's it called? The class act to go down to like 1 credit. Like that seems kind of rough. So this is arguably way too slow. Yeah, daily cast would be really good. We just need some sort of economy that doesn't require interaction. Because I don't know what the list they're on. Looks like some sort of kill list. So we want to make sure we don't get oppoed super easily. Icing up all. That's a good play against Criminal. It's like a dirty laundry archives is our way back into this. All right. Ooh, this sucks. Bravado both servers, it's a potential, but then we have to clear 2 tags, so it's too late in the turn to do it. So here, I got nothing. Like, maybe we can install Echelon for 2 credits so that if we ever run into, what's it called? Oh, we still pay like 5 credits to deal with a Starlight Knight. That's terrible. Like, these are the sort of hands I don't have to play. Like here we discard the inside job with a mutual favor probably. Oh, mind you, we have marks. I forgot about that. I haven't been looking at my mark. Float the tags? Yeah, maybe, but losing Paladin's like not great. But they're also on Mindscaping end of the line. Like, not that we can die, but maybe. Oh, yo, B-Bloom, how's it going? If they're playing Snare Bears, then the class act is a tech card for you not to get killed. I don't think they are, because it's R+, right? And we saw Mindscaping. So I don't know if they just swapped that deck to R+. This stinks. I'm just going to play it as slow as possible. We'll do the Bravado next turn. Inside Job is relatively good. It deals with Funhouse, I guess. We still get eaten by ping. We don't need breakers. Might even play Netrunner instead of data analysis. So let's see what this is. Spin Doctor, not developing. Like, I thought it was this list, but it's not. So might be their own list. Not any, sorry, but Mindscaping means kill regardless of that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So if we go heavily tagged, we can just drop the class act and hold. Yeah. All right. No idea what that could be. Rashida seems kind of likely. Marcus HQ. They've drawn a fair bit. So, like, we can't just Bravado HQ and clear the tag. It's not... At least the Bravado makes the tempo loss not as obnoxious. Let's go. It is our mark. Authenticator. All right, so either we give them 2 credits and end the run and get an access, or we take a tag and they get 2 credits. The math on Authenticator is so interesting to me. Because either they res this for free, or they res this for free and we go through, but we have to clear a tag. But we also gain another credit back. F it. This actually might be like Paul's list that Paul was playing. Not Paul, sorry, Eric. And oh man, I forgot to put the accent on Eric's name. But there's a list like this at CanNats. That was like on Authenticator, R+, and it was on Reaper Function, Kill. Starlight Knight. It kind of looks like it. If we take the tag, we get the clickback, which is nice. Yeah, with the clickback, it's even nicer, let alone the extra credit on Bravado. So now we have an incentive to charge server 2, and I think we will Bravado server 2, but there's a chance that this is like end the line, what's it called? Reaper Function Kill as well. So we also now know we can always diversion that, which is interesting. Let's just go. It's probably just a Sparrow Brawler style thing, but kill instead of seamless? Maybe. Ping. Second tag. It's good to get 2 of those in a turn. Not the best Bravado, but we'll take it. I'd rather have raindrops there. So I think you would just draw a clear tag. Like this was the threat. Oh, that's good. This was the threat level alpha type deck. It could be that. Where it's like threat level alpha, Reaper Function, Mindscaping, end of line. Which they need good draw for that. Looks like a Bologna. Sounds like a Bologna. Does it taste like a Bologna? So if that's a Bologna, oh man, if that is a Bologna, so we can diversion here. Puts them on 10 credits down to 5. R&D is our mark though. We've seen 1 Starlit Knight. We have a huge incentive to get down to Kurapira, so Starlit Knight is not that bad for us. If they score out the Bologna, they go down to 10 credits or up to 10 credits. If we steal it, we probably get oppoed for 5. I'm okay with them scoring out the first thing. This also could be re-education combo deck. If that's the case, they would need a really good hand. I think we're just going to continue to set up. Our late game's better. Oh, no free lunch helps a fair bit. All right, well. I don't love showing that we have this in hand, but whatever. Okay, now we can face check with not a lot of worry. If they score out a Bologna here, like they're going to be on oppo regardless. Maybe that's fine. Like if they were on 8 credits and we were on less, but like this still costs us 6 credits. We would need some way to make that run more palatable for us. All right. Our breaker. What's our way in Sable Carnage to get through an Authenticator? I think it's Boomerang, right? I think we Boomerang Diversion. That's our good play. So we technically have more money than we think we do. HQ is the mark. I think we just send a diversion here. They go down to 7. We go up to 12 and a click and we clear the tag. I think that's fine. We can draw once for a Boomerang. Whatever. I think we will just send it HQ. It's not a great diversion, but like Boomerang is just the same as clearing a tag, right? It's a click and 2 credits, so why the heck not? This card's neat. It's hard for anyone to break it really well. All right, we got a tag click back. We can NFL it, but we're going to try and reserve the NFL for something that's actually more meaningful than that. All right. Again, Class Act, we can't use Paladin. We probably should just like bite the financial bullet and play the Class Act. Let's be honest. Also, now the fact that we showed a Kurapira, they're probably not going to jam into server 2 until they get a second ice. Maybe then we can inside job it favorably. Ah, spin's gone. Second spin's coming down. I don't know what they want to draw into here. We haven't run an archives mark. I'd be happy to make them res ice now because the only thing that's annoying is the VSA. Second spin. Second spin. Second spin. All right, from here. Predictive. Yeah, I think they might be on threat level alpha. They really need to jam their mode superhero. They're just not pushing themselves forward enough. Okay, that makes sense too. All right, I think we have a window here to set up. So I'd love to draw into a sure gamble so the Class Act doesn't feel terrible. We could also just install Class Act, click for 3. I don't know what people think about that line. Like, I honestly don't mind a lot of times install Class Act, click for 3, as slow as that is. Because, like, if you draw, it eats into the Class Act value. That's, like, not the biggest thing here. R&D is the mark. We're not paying enough attention to that. I think I'm going to install this click 3. It's, like, a super low tempo turn, but, like, all we need is enough money here because we have our breakers. All right, so we have another one in hand if we're worried about the kill combo. So what do we want to put on the bottom? A third Class Act seems a bit too much. You, like, install... Yeah, I don't mind that play. Like... Our whole turn is gain 3 credits, draw 4 cards. Like, it's not a bad turn. And we do have the gamble to get out of this hole. Click for it's way underrated these days. You tell me about it. I think criminals are doing a bit less than they used to. Second ice, okay. So here we can do like sure gamble, inside job. Ooh, they can't afford this. Okay, so why do we have to run this? It looks like a Rashida. Could be tomorrow's headline. So things that we want to do, we want to start installing things so that we can build up our twinning. Twinning is kind of hard in the matchup. If it is, we want them to res here. If it is, like the only bad res is a VSA. So like we actually could consider just like sure gamble bravadoing the remote server. Archives is the mark too. And we probably are going to get an archives run here as much as it's not going to do anything for us. Because if they res a funhouse, we bounce and then we inside job it. So let's just do this. A VSA is the worst case here. Mind you, sorry, there was a third ice. And even then, like, ping, that's fine. That's their ability. So we break this for free because we get the bravado back. We have to remember that we got to use Paladin this turn. We'll put down an Earthrise or a Chezza if we really need to. Need to install turn for Paladin? Yeah, we will. Oh. Okay. This is interesting. So here, every break is free. So I think this is tomorrow's headline, or heaven forbid it's like an Oppo, not an Oppo, the one that gives us 2 tags of Behold. Yeah, 3ping is like a really weird server. Like that does not scale well. Like we're breaking this for free technically. Okay, so we have 3 tags here. So we can float a single tag. If we float a single tag, they can kill us with Mindscaping into End of Line. If that's the case, we want to get down to Class Act. So we can clear every single tag and then lose Paladin Puemo. That would be pretty bad. Paladin Puemo doesn't allow us to install the Class Act. So without installing the twinning here, I think there's a small chance that very, very small chance that we die. They need credit Mindscaping into End of Line. I think that's unlikely here. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to install the Earthrise Hotel and clear 2 tags. One with no free lunch, one with our face. Let's do that. Install Chezza and Class Act? I think that's another fair way, but I don't want to flow 3 tags, because with 1 tag, they can't shipment for the Disbursk. Mindscaping doesn't kill you 1 tag and 5 cards. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, it only does 5 damage. Yeah, totally true. So they would need like Mindscaping End of Line, and they don't have the money for that. Planogram though, shuffling both back, like that's pretty good. That's a nice way for them to recover here. At least their remote server is like kind of dookie. And Kurapira can save a credit. I imagine this is the only barrier in the whole list. But this is now where like, oh, they found one. Nice. Now here running HQ is kind of valuable. We are going to want a Unity, which eventually breaks us for 2 to 3 credits. Amaku would also be pretty relevant. We threw out a mutual favor, right? Yeah, we did. Oppo, just for 2 tags, totally fine. Because they're on 2 credits here. That's pretty good for us. So we'll get a good mark here. We'll want to do, order doesn't matter. HQ is the mark. Okay. HQ is the mark. Okay, thinking. So, oh shit, we're on 5 tags. I forgot about that. That's why they're only at 2 credits. I almost spilled a lot of water. Okay. This is a bit trickier. They only have 2 credits though. They could be on market forces. That'd be pretty upsetting. Retribution is like game losing. So we might have bit off more than we could chew there. I forgot, obviously threat 3 was online. So we can again clear 4 tags relatively well. HQ is the mark. We have no good way to make value on this exact board state. We could actually consider diversioning. The problem is that we're going to float 3 tags. So, like, we can just diversion. That'd be 2 of our clicks. We get a click back and then we clear 3 tags. That's just not enough. That's not enough. So we could just clear 4 tags. We go down from 13 to 5. And then we discard 2 cards like Pinhole and Inside Job, maybe. Clear a couple Overinstall Classic and do something else. I'm pretty sure they're like on kill, but I'm so worried about them playing Market Forces. If that's the case, like another class act is like pretty good. I think I want to clear 4 tags. Because I think Shipment for Vladisibirsk is more likely, and then Market Forces isn't like terrible. I think going down to 5 credits is pretty fair. Okay. So hopefully we get a sure gamble off the top or a dirty laundry. We have to discard 2 cards. Boomerang, we're at the point where we almost don't need it. It's still the nice way to deal with Authenticator. And then Pinhole, the other one's on the bottom of the deck. We have only shuffles Boomerang because the mutual favor is out. Inside Job is kind of relevant. But only if they put like a funhouse on there. Even then. I'm going to say whatever. So we'll see. Again, Market Forces. I think Retribution is how we lose. If they retribute our Kurapura, like at least Amakua deals with pings relatively well. What else have we seen from HQ? I think just like a Starlit Knight. Okay. Pivot. Uh-oh. Shipment. They can't play that. I think them. Yeah, you can't play that. I think they're realizing. Yeah, Shipment, this is why we cleared all the tags, is that Shipment from Vladisibirsk requires a couple tags. So this looks more like a Sparrow Brawler. So it's weird that allows you to play it because you can't. This says only the runner has at least 2 tags. Oh, I need... Yeah, so this sucks because they kind of showed their hand. Yeah, we can let the redo there. That's, again, one of the big tag punishments now in the meta. That's 2 tags is very different than 1 tag, as much as Boom is gone. So it looks like they're scoring out here a 4-2 of some sort. Because they don't have Bologna credits. Or Bologna clicks, more accurately. I've been there. But yeah, that's why we want to clear as many tags as we can. So it only costs us 2 credits to run the remote server. We played every single Bravado. So we still have a dirty laundry or 2. Yeah, okay. We'll undo it. So unfortunately, we know they have a pivot and probably an agenda in hand. Well, definitely an agenda in hand. So the pivot's really scary here because they could pivot to a Retribution, which I think one of the Sparrow Brawler lists did have that. And again, if we lose our Kurapura, it's not the end of the world, but if we lose our Echelon, it's kind of bad. Now, VSA is the only bad face check until we get our Unity down. So ideally, we get our Unity down, then we have Chesva and we run Centrals for free. We still have 1 tag we want to consider clearing. They can't really afford to trash our resources. We're doing okay. We're holding on. The big thing is worrying about not having money, because if we don't have money, they can jam in Bologna. That's obviously a threat. Yeah, hey, no worries. Ah, there's lightning flashing in this room. I wonder how long that's going to stay alive for. It's like kind of hard to tell because the room's not that dark, but pretty good. Yeah, we watched the horror film. I think we're going to play some Resident Evil 4 tonight, my partner and I, but we watched Barbarian this weekend, which is pretty cool as a horror film. It's unique. It's very interesting. We also recently, we watched the Dune film, which I've been reading Dune. They're looking for a planogram here. I have now read enough, they found it, to get to the point where I'm in the book That's further than the movie. So I was allowed to watch it. I love Barbarian, played expectations. Yeah, I was super surprised that it was like a Zach Kreger film. Like, that's really cool. All right, they got back into it. Hedge Fund as well. So Sable, the Marcus Archives, Paladin, of course, Earthrise. We want to do obviously your mark before. Okay, so we have a daily cast. That's good to set back. We don't probably want 2 diversions here. So I think here we're just going to clear the tag, install a daily cast for 1 credit. We could consider doing Cheswa running archives. We're just getting no value from this. Like, we haven't an info bounty just yet. So we'll just set up for the war. Again, this is technically clicking for a credit next turn, so I don't feel bad about that as much as you have to be careful. So I think we'll just remove the tag credit. We've got to discard a card here. We have a pinhole in the bottom of the deck. Pinhole's neat. It can check for the Rashida, because eventually they'll get a 4th ice on here. It's just a matter of time before they get the Funhouse down. And eventually we do have to pivot to the twinning, but we have a second twinning. And I don't know if we're at the point yet to put down this twinning, because we don't want to install it with Paladin Puemel a lot of the time, but like we have the twinning Cheswa combo. I just don't know if we can win the whole game just on single axes. So it's a bit rough. We definitely want our Unity, which is in the next like 20 cards, because we know the bottom 4 or 5. I like Cheswa. Just like it. Pinhole, like this deck is not going to have upgrades, but it like saves us credits to run the remote server. And it threatens the Spin Doctor too. Amaku's pretty good. Amaku on 4 is a good way to get through Authenticator. I think we'll keep the Amaku. We'll try that. My favorite part of the Dune movie, I assume, is where the Baron puts 4 troops in the conflict to gain influence with the British Facing Guild. I haven't played the board game yet because I was also waiting to finish the book. And now at this point, they have the second version, which like is so confusing. Like, is it meant to line up with the second film? Is it a later time in the book? And then if that's the case, right, like everyone's just saying like now you should just get the second game, even though it's like the same game but more complicated. JFCD. All right, they just kind of flooded up maybe. Now they're pushing. So we got the tomorrow's headline. So we have to worry about like seamless launches in the remote server for like a crypto crash, something like this. So we can consider running it. Otherwise, if they're on like what's it called, could be bad. Oracle Think Tank could end up with like 5 tags pretty quickly. So Sable first, R&D's to mark, Paladin, Earthrise for options. We have an info bounty. We don't really need Miss Bones. Okay. The book has 2 parts. The second movie's after the time skip in the book, I think. Okay, I haven't even got to that part. So, all right. R&D is the mark. Seamless launch into the remote server is what is potentially scary here, but we don't have a good way to run this besides paying 2 credits and then taking a tag. If we take a tag, they oppo us for 7, and that's a problem for 5 credits. So how do we deal with this? Magic Bone, are we playing a spooky deck? This is just Crim. We forgot to say Trick or Treat a lot, but this is just, we played some meaner, scarier decks. This is just good old Sable Carnage. So I think this is the Oracle Think Tank. The problem is if it's the crypto crash, this is where having like the pinhole threading that we immediately regret, like feels bad. Now, if we run R&D, we haven't seen any BSAs. I'm not sure what other face check we're worried about. But like we could get Amakua down for 2 and then run R&D. Get an Amakua counter. Doesn't really help for this board state. It's actually not that important. I think forcing him to res is okay. I just like, if it's a crypto crash, it's bad. Let's try it. Trick or treat. Second game is a team mode, but it requires 6 players, so no one will play it. So true. It's an authenticator. Crap. Okay, so either they res us for free, or we give them a tag, gain 2 credits. So the tag and the info bounty and the Sable balance out, so we might as well do it. Enjoying the stream, but it's time for me to go to bed. Thanks for gameplay. Just checking the Deck of the Week gaming is on Thursday. Yes, I'm very vain, Kira. Yes. It'll be on Thursday. Another authenticator. We found all 3. So we can clear the tag technically for free. That's cute. So again, seamless launch into crypto crash is disgusting because we'll lose all our money. So we're kind of like incentivized to duck the crypto crash a wee bit. Unfortunately, the authenticator doesn't do much for this board state. This is ugly. Putting on the Cheswa also doesn't really matter here. So they're going to get a second authenticator on R&D. I don't know if we want to show the twinning and go down to 2. We just have to keep our money up. Like here, I think we just do credit, and we throw out the turtle. Oh, wait, no, we're playing into Crypto Crash so bad. Hold on. Wait, we don't want to end on 7. That's not correct. Hold on. That can't be behind. I'll just undo click. Okay, this is fine. So we'll do this. Yeah, we have to play Grand Crypto Crash. We cannot go to 7. Narbalicious, how's it going? So, like, Amakua. Again, the problem is the VSA, like, it doesn't punish you for having Amakua, but it needs a breaker. How sweaty is your face? Totally fine. Like, surprisingly good. Whatever. Don't love it. Want to learn how to play this game? Hey, Seb, for a while, but can't find any reason how to play. How suggestions? Yeah, it's Seb. If you go to the Null Signal Games YouTube channel, they put up a learn to play video recently. It is an Oracle think tank. That's fine. That's totally fine. That's what we called it out as. That is a mistake to run. The deck is usually running only one of them, so that's totally fine. Installing Earthrise ducks crypto and helps you find Unity. It does, but then it also bankrupts us in a worse way potentially. But that is what we were playing around. So I'm assuming if they're on Mindscaping, they might not be unseamless. HQ is the mark. We need to find our Unity. Oh, Hermes so late feels bad. I think Dirty Laundry is better for us. Ugh. I think we Dirty Laundry archives here. Yeah, that's what I was. That is the way I preferred it. Thank you. Yeah, for sure. It's pretty good. If you have any questions, come back and ask. But like if you watch the old FFG Learn to Play video, it's the same. But NSG has a more modern one that'll show you the cards from System Gateway. Also, get involved in Green Level Clearance, which is the Discord channel. And like you can ping someone to be like, hey, at mentor, which is a role, can you teach me how to play this game? And people will be happy to help. I'm just running archives. I don't know. If there's no Oracle think tank in there, it'd be pretty bad. Why not run server 2? You can clear 3 tags, because if it's not a crypto crash and it's an Oracle think tank, we lose the game kind of on the spot. Okay, this is where this is. This is fine. We take a tag. It is what it is. Not a great run. If we find an Oracle think tank in archives, like we've totally lost the game. We're actually struggling to deal with Authenticator just because we don't have our Unity. Oh, sorry. That one is a bit busted. You have to close prompt, I think. Yeah, VSA still doesn't work right. Oh, unless we're still waiting. Apparently there's agendas in there. They should be feeding us agendas. So they have an authenticator in hand. I think they're closing prompt now. Team Covenant How to Play videos are pretty valid. I've never watched those because they're pretty long. But I know they have a whole series of Learn to Play. They're probably the same. The game rules are totally the same. There's just some slightly different language. I think they're typing close prompt. Ah. Oh, sick. Yeah, I can do it. I'm in control. So they threw out a seamless, so they do have seamless, and then VSA and Starlit Night. So if their deck is on 3 Bolognas, that's 9 points, 10, 11. Then they have something to seamless out. So while it can be Bolognas, we're assuming like 2 Crypto Crash. So 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, which means they only have a single Oracle think tank. So all we have to do is afford to run the remote server as many times as we can. So that's fine. I think we're going to be okay. TC videos are very chatty, but that helps people learn. We really got to bribe Rodney to play Gateway already. And by bribe, I mean hire normally. Yeah. At some point, I think I want to make a learn to play video. I probably wouldn't do it on a tabletop. Like I would edit it and post. They only have 3 credits. What can they res here? But like now we have to run the remote server every certain time. And I think the math comes out to them only having either 1 Oracle think tank or 3 Oracle think tank. And that's a very big difference. This is the sort of thing where like we don't have the money to interact really well. Like just a fermenter would have been so good. Because they can't afford to purge and like all their money is run based, and this sort of matchup is rough. Yeah, they're trashing these. These make sense. I think an update to Learn to Play where Dawn comes out will be a must. Yeah, I think that's a good time to drop it. Okay, so we're assuming this is pivoting for a Bologna, and now they can install anything in their remote server. Now, in theory, we have to run this if it's a Bologna because they can do seamless. R&D is the mark. So with 4 credits, there's nothing they can res that's annoying besides a virtual service agent. If that's the case, we have to draw once, install a Unity, go. Now this we break for free. This is a Bologna, so it's gonna put us to 4 credits, and then they can't even. So like, there's a cool line here where this is like a think tank, and it looks like a Bologna. I still think we just run it. Like, the worst case is VSA, they res for free. We have no way to run this cheaper. Okay. Is diversion a line? A diversion is potentially a line. Where we run this diversion, clear 2 tags. Oracle Think Tank is a card fight Vanguard reference. Is it actually? I don't know anything about card Vanguard. I think we just run this first click, see how it goes. Like, we're assuming it's a VSA, because on 4 credits, they can't risk Funhouse. Oh, it could be the last Authenticator. That one's actually pretty cool. But with Seamless as a threat, we have to respect this Bologna, as much as it might not be the Bologna. I think either way, they're happy if we steal the Bologna. It is the Authenticator. That makes sense. Okay. So we might as well take a tag. They're going to get their 2 credits anyway, so we might as well get through. I'm going to bypass this because I don't expect there to be other barriers we care about. I'd be surprised if it is the Bologna. Okay. So now we have 4 clicks. Things we can do. We can diversion. Oh man, if Mark was on R&D, we also probably want to install a card. So we can do diversion. Because they have, mind you, they played their pivot, but the way that they win out here is like the oppo. So basically we want to clear the tag and set up to win on the following turn. So how do we do that? If we diversion, they can res whatever this is. Puts us down to 3 credits. We let them have an Authenticator tag. We're on 2 tags. And then we have 1 click left to clear a tag. We definitely can float 1 tag, I think, no problem. The worst case would be the last predicted planogram, which they could have. That would be the worst case. They could be on Market Forces or Retribution. We lose to those, but I think they would have pivoted for them if they had it. And then here we win off of a single agenda steal, but we need to make sure we have 5 credits. So I think just remove tag, click for 3. There's nothing we can really install a Paladin Poema that makes sense. Paladin can install a card for cheap, yeah, but we don't want any of these cards, right? Like, Earthrise Hotel is not as good as just drawing. We should probably draw here once first. Oh, Daily Cast is good. That's a great Paladin Poema. Twinning isn't terrible. I think the game will be over before the twinning matters, because what we're expecting here is to get oppoed, and then we have to clear 3 of the tags, probably. But they also still at the same time have to jam, and with Seamless they can. But if they pivoted for the Bologna, they might not have the winning agenda. So this is good, because they didn't. This is the best case for us, is while they oppoed us, which was very expensive, they didn't put anything on the table. And we lose by them putting something on the table and then oppoing, because we have to make a decision. Here they just oppoed, which means, like, as long as we can clear the tags. And they did a tempo oppo. With 2 daily casts here, like, that's totally fine for us. That's sick. That's actually really good. So here we can draw for Unity. We could run, clear 2 tags. Yeah, it wasn't a full oppo. I think they had to full oppo here. We'll draw once. Remove tag, remove tag. We just need to keep our money up because we have to run to get a Bologna. And that's the problem with Authenticator, right? Like, it doesn't actually cost us anything, as much as it's pretty good for them. We can install another daily cast here. That means we'll start our next turn with 4 credits. We're not getting good marks, but it's hard when it's just the code gates. Diversion's still kind of relevant. I think we will daily cast. Here it's credit neutral. Part of me just wants to click for credit. And TK mentioned they had no idea Oracle Think Tank was a thing in CFV, so it's a coincidence, not a reference. Some of the boom in the TCG market will start to die down. We could recruit more players for the low buy-in cost. Hopefully some of the boom. Oh, excuse me, Spark. Yeah, I think a lot of people get into Netrunner, not so much even about the cost, but then they realize the game is really good. There's a lot of fatigue. Oh, they also didn't, again, this turn they didn't push out on the remote server. 3 Spin Doctors are down and 2 Oppos are down. I'm not sure if there's any way they like fast events out, like maybe a big deal deck, but now we're regretting not getting the daily cast down. Buy events is actually kind of important because it's the one way to like clicklessly remove a tag for the last oppo. So if we bottom it here, it's arguably better than the Sure Gamble. As much as Sure Gamble is really important because we need money up front. Like, I think they do Funhouse install a Bologna at some point. Archives is the mark. Man, our Unity is nowhere to be seen. But the buy events is a cool way to cheat it out. But there's only 1 more oppo, right? How bad could it be? It could be pretty bad. But we run clear 3 tags. I guess it'll be more than that. Okay, we're just going to keep our money up high as possible. Even on the narrativity, I sometimes just accept that things are references I don't get. I don't think to ask. As I was editing Aaron's story, it didn't even occur to me that bridge ice was in development, but it totally works that way. Yeah. Mindscaping, they played a second one. Maybe they are setting up a threat level alpha, but it's a double, so they have to do threat level alpha with something on the table. So we have to run this. So that means we're going to take a tag. HQ is the mark. We haven't set up any multi-axes because we've just been trying to float for better or for worse. So we run this, we take a tag, we break this for 1, we steal whatever's in there. It's probably Rashida. If that's the case, we don't trash Rashida because we can't get oppoed. We clear the tag, we go from there. So let's draw once for a dirty laundry. Finally. I think to some extent the worst case here, it's a 4-2, but then if it's a 4-2, we win. So that's a pretty good case, I guess. I've done the math. An idea for the NSG poll, make a lore wiki so you don't have to learn stuff like this from accidentally stumbling on it on the GLC. All right, this Ches has been useless. But now it'll do something. So Oracle Think Tank would be the worst case. It's Rashida. We're not going to trash this here because it turns on Oppo. If they have 3 more cards and 3 more credits, I think it's totally fine for us. Making sure that we don't get Oppo, that's how we win the game. So we're just going to click for a credit. We're just going to keep our money up because the only way they win here is by like having a window to jam a Bologna, if I'm not mistaken. Why aren't you installing the Unity? I don't think we need to show it right now. Oh, on the Authenticator. Oh, that's a good question. It's just about the same cost. I forgot, we could have installed this. So this comes down for 2, and then we have to boost this. It's actually cheaper to clear the tag. Eventually we'll need the Unity, but I think if we just want to keep money up front, it's cheaper to clear the tag. Oh, sick. Hey. Heck yeah. Yeah, these late games are like very, very careful where if you make one big mistake, it's over. So here they need to get some sort of ice that is relevant. So with 18 credits again, like, I don't know if they're on the Reaper function deck. It looks like they're not. Look, if they're on Seamless Launch, that's like too much influence. So here they have to keep us out, but there's no defensive upgrade. And even if they really keep us out, we can like put down the twinning, run HQ, and see 2 cards. And hopefully that does it. Because they only have 5 cards left in R&D. We're at the point where like note taking would be really important because we're getting to the bottom of the deck. HQ is the mark. Okay. So if it's a fun house, it's a fun house. That's a problem. We have to go through it. We have to float the tags. Unity, we'll get through a VSA. So if now we want to get the Unity down, it gives us at least some options. So here, what's in the remote server potentially? If it's an Oracle Think Tank, then we just run HQ and we try and win. So we have to have a consideration if we get the twinning down first or after. Thinking if we get it down first, we can get down twinning, we go down to 12. We install the Unity, we go down to 1, we get a Unity counter. We run server 2. The most amount of tags we can get is 2. So we can still clear 2 tags. So we can do 1. No, we can't. We can only clear 1 tag. So I think we're not going to have the twinning and try and win off a single. I think Archives is also worth considering at some point. And even running HQ here will relatively be cheap. We've seen all 3 pings. So like there's nothing that's going to tag us here anymore besides a funhouse that we have to like consent to. So we'll run it. Actually, what's it called? The Sarevna could be a problem potentially. It is a VSA. Okay, so at least we break this for 2. That's the same as a tag. It's removing a tag with saves as a click, so that's fine. Now this one is either click and 2 credits or 2 credits. So we might as well pay for 2. I'm going to give them 2 credits. I don't care how much money they have. They have 14. If they pay 5 for whatever, they're fine. So they can get the 2 credits. I don't think we care about that. Because we need to keep our money up because we have to consider clearing tags at some point. All right. Kurapira doing just enough. I like how they kept 1 just so that if we do lose the fractor somehow, they have a chance here. I'm expecting this not to be an agenda unless it's a think tank. It's a behold. Sick. So we're not going to trash that because it turns on Oppo. So here we can remove 2 tags and we'll be still relatively healthy. The other option is to win. And by win, I mean run HQ. So we can always spend a click to run HQ here. Thinking we break this for free. We have a chance of just winning on a single axis, which is kind of likely. They only have 5 cards left in R&D. And we can use our Chesva. So what could this be that would be a problem for us? If it's a Starlight Night, it's 2 credits. If it's a Funhouse, we jack out. We have to float 2 tags. So that's the problem. Is like we're so requiring this run to be successful that I think the safer line is just clear 2 tags. And we did not trash that because again, we are playing around Appa pretty heavily. But I think there's a chance we run HQ. The only thing that punishes is that this is a Sarievna potentially or a Funhouse. Surprised you haven't given up on the mask yet? No, it's Halloween. We're almost there. It's actually not that uncomfortable. It's surprisingly okay. I thought it'd be warmer in like wearing the whole hoodie. The only thing is like I keep bumping into the microphone a bit with the nose, so maybe it sounds bad, but we'll get there. So now they have to decide to push. The question is how many beholds they have. And if they push in their remote server and we don't call it, like we can always just like, we want an archives mark, that's for sure. We would love an archives or R&D mark. Diversion doesn't really have any relevance in the game anymore. We have no multi-access besides this twinning. And at least we can see 2 cards from HQ, which is probably the line. As much as we have to remember we need to access it with 5 credits because we are respecting the 1 more Bologna. And the Chesva does count for that. And again, another problem with authenticators, like on the final turns, we can just send through authenticator. Authenticator's been good. It just hasn't felt amazing. But breaking it for 2 credits with Unity, it's like, it's not bad. It's just like the downsides are something you can, you know, take advantage of. We have another pinhole coming up. Again, if you do full deck tracking, you'll know. And you can when you take notes. Like any card, time you bottom a card, write it down. And then you know how many cards are on the bottom and you know how close you are to breaching it. You just have to count how many cards in your stack. They can't oppo us. We didn't steal no trash. Yeah. Hey, of course. Let's talk about the agenda suite, right? Like they're on 3 Bolognas. That's 9. 11 points to headline. 12 points for Oracle Think Tank. And then they could be on 3 copies of the 4-2. So 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That means that there's only 4 more agendas in the whole list. Play Netrunner in the way my friends play Pandemic. Got to keep track of what locations are on top of the infection deck. Yeah, no, but for real, that's a great way to play Pandemic. But yeah, here they're struggling. They don't think though they can maybe push out on their remote server. The problem is like, what can they put in their remote server that have to run? We have seen only 1 Rashida, 1 Behold. If we want to count influence, right? Like Mindscaping, that's 4. I think we saw more than 1, but they shuffled 1 back, so maybe not. Pivot, they're usually on 2. That's 2, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. So like still a lot. So this server is like not the cheapest, right? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like we can't afford to run this 5 every turn. Like they have a window here, maybe to score out a Bologna. We're assuming their hand is double seamless. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so the question is, can we get in there and respect Bologna? And I honestly don't think we can. They're not on NGO front. They could be on Czech Asylum. That'd be pretty like buck wild. HQ is the mark. Don't like that. But like, how do we generate enough value to get good access here? This costs us 2. We could float the tags. We could float a tag, break for 1. And then we have to get in and steal Bologna. If we want to not break, it's 1, 2, it's 5 for the server. So we have to do credit run. Do you think we do that? Do you think we just go all in on the remote server? I don't know. Do you? But there's a chance, like especially because they spoke about, you know, feeling, you know, lost. They might just push the Bologna and say whatever. The thing is, like, we can just go through the VSA for a credit if we want to. We can go through the authenticator, but then, like, what are they advancing? Unless the deck is on 3 Oracle Think Tank, that might get me. Doof on HQ, then server? Doof on HQ is likely not that great, right? Like, we're going to be on 6 credits. They res this. If it's a Funhouse, it's not great. We go through this for 1 credit. Maybe. It's unlikely. Like, I think it's just as good as clicking for credits. But yeah, let's just start there. It's our HQ mark. We don't get info bounty, though, which sucks. But like, how good is the diversion of funds in terms of an economy card? It's going to be 1 click if we make a successful run. This server will probably cost us 2 credits at a minimum. This server costs us 2 credits. So that's already, we paid 5 credits to get 5 credits. Like it's not actually a strong economy card if they double ice HQ. Obviously we have some Chesva there, so that helps, but it's not amazing. Yeah, if it counts info bounty, it's a lot better. That's for sure. We could just send it server 2. Like we could just do click for 3 credits and just send it server 2. Like we'll be on 10. This is 2. This is 2. This is 1. So that's just enough. I think we're going to do it. If it's an Oracle think tank, at least we'll have 5 more credits to score at the next turn. If we go tag me, we should be able to run all the servers. Yeah, but if this is not the winning agenda, then they like they win by shipment from Vladisbersk. So we 100% lose if we call it wrong. So it's hard. It's hard. It's a possibility that we could just say like YOLO and get enough accesses. But we're not really set up. If we had like a big 20, maybe. They can have 2 credits. Hey, Paul, how's it going? Are you playing on the weekend? All right, Courbiers all charged up. We have 5 for Bologna. No whammies. Yes, I am. Heck yeah. They're typing. I don't know. Maybe we have just enough credits here. It was credit perfect if it is a Bologna. Credit perfect. Yeah. It was close. Like, I don't know how we get good value. The only way we get good value is like diversion and not break. If we diversion and don't break, we can get into the remote server. Oh, nice. Hey, GG. Yeah, that was a bit tight. I'm surprised they advanced it though, but I guess they don't have the seamless. Hey, did you have the... Yeah, I think if they didn't advance it, it's much more interesting because then we have to worry that it's a behold. But as soon as they advanced it, we understood it had to be like an agenda because the deck doesn't run anything else that's advanceable besides agendas. Neat. We definitely did not play that perfectly, but we still got through. For what it's worth, like understanding when to run the mark, we barely interacted with it because this deck makes it actively kind of hostile to pursue your mark. And oh, get out. So they didn't have the seamlesses. So the Bologna they installed 2 turns ago with the pivot was a bluff. That's wild. Yeah. And if that didn't work, we would have pivoted centrals. Because again, there's a couple agendas across not a lot of cards. Well, thanks for the game. Cool. Looking forward to it. Yeah, me too. It's been a while. I guess, well, I played at COS, but gonna sleep up a homebrew thing. I know there's gonna be a lot of people playing decks from Worlds, and like it might be one of the worst casual metas to bring in like, you know, your homebrew, but it'll be fun. And I think a lot of the prize support is just raffled. Gotcha. Yeah, that tracks. Well, thanks for the game, eh? Good luck at the Nationals. All right, I think that's largely going to be it for this stream. Again, happy Halloween, y'all. We're going to get a video up tomorrow, continuing our can nats. We took a bit of a break. We're a bit under the weather, but we should be back on track. I'm also going to be back to recording gameplay to do our normal deck dive stuff. It's been a while since we've done that again because of all the national stuff. I think that's largely it. Yeah, me too. Oh, yeah, right on. Happy Halloween. Thank you. Yeah, the part of Montreal we live, there's like these walk-ups, so we don't actually get trick-or-treaters. Happy Steering Cheers. We don't get trick-or-treaters, so like our Halloween is just, you know, whatever we do with ourselves, which is gonna be fun. Straight up, worst thing about Quebec, you cannot get pumpkin pie. This has been such a bummer for me year after year after year. You know that sort of like pumpkin pie that you get at the what's it called? At the grocery store that's like that orange color that doesn't make any sense. And it's like one exactly like homogenous, you know, garbage. Like that sort of pumpkin pie, the like grocery store perfect pumpkin pie. They just don't have it. They don't have it here. Pumpkin pie is like one of my favorite foods. And they just don't have grocery store pumpkin pie. You know, pay $5, get a pie. They don't have it. Instead, they have this like terrible thing that is a thing in Quebec called like sugar pie. That is like so Quebecois, and like it looks like a pumpkin pie. So on the packaging, you get really excited, and then you realize it's just a stack of caramel the size of like a couple sheets. It's awful. I don't know what this is. It's terrible, and it looks like pumpkin pie, and then they only have sugar pie, and they don't have pumpkin pie anywhere. Like, it is such a ruse. It looks like it should be pumpkin pie. It comes out for the season, and it's like the worst possible pie anyone could imagine. So my partner, you know, she made some pumpkin pies this weekend. They were really great. Huge shout out to my partner who understood how hard we were hurting here. Bestie just made pumpkin pie. Buy a can of pumpkin puree and pre-made crust and you're almost there. Yeah, we did a version that was cream cheese based, or my partner did. So it was like cream cheese, half and half, pumpkin, puree into a pie shell. It was like, you know, it's still like the price of, you know, food stuff in Canada. It was a very expensive 2 pies, but it used to be so easy. Go down to any grocery store in Ontario and get like, I don't know, man, what's going on in Quebec? They just don't do it. It's my wedding anniversary, so I won't stick around. Happy streaming. Yo, Brennan, congrats. Happy wedding anniversary. Anyway, that's it. Oh, face reveal. Yeah. This is my face. I shaved my face. I look like I'm 12 years old. Hearing is really different now. I think it's because my nose is open. Anyways, thanks so much for viewing. We'll be back on tomorrow and on Thursday. Pat's not going to be joining us tomorrow because we what's it called? Because we just had Pat last week, so we're gonna like push it in a while. But thanks so much. Hopefully you enjoy your Halloween. We'll see you in a bit. Ciao. Also, yeah, this weekend we have an event on Saturday. See you there. Cheers.